Now you're there. Now you're there for sure. Okay. What's up, everybody? This is ACG, and we're here with Johnny from Johnny Plays Live, discussing video games.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Well, Merry late Christmas. If you don't celebrate Christmas, sorry, but we'll just continue to say Merry Christmas. I mean, that's what I'm going to do. I don't know about you. I feel like I should shine a little love on Christmas. Christmas has started to be forgotten, you know? Like people are, you know, everybody's like, Happy Holidays. Happy Holidays sucks. It sounds so generic, right? It's like the I like you of relationship comments. Instead of I love you, I want you inside me. I want to be like two people merged into one. I want to make the two-back beast. They're like, I like you. That's the Happy Holidays of...
Yeah.
Like,
I even prefer if, let's say, you celebrate a different holiday. Maybe you do Hanukkah or something. I'm happy for you to say Happy Hanukkah back. So I might say Happy, Merry Christmas. And then you say Happy Hanukkah.
And then they say whatever.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But you know how it is, man. It's cool to hate things. So Merry Christmas to everybody, including those who don't celebrate it. I hope you have an even better Christmas than the ones who do. There we go. Done with the passive aggressiveness. What do we got this week? Actually had, unfortunately, the passing of the Call of Duty. Well, I say Call of Duty, but he did a bunch of stuff. It was sad to see. Did you see the car wreck video, by the way?
I didn't see the video, no. I tried to stay away from that stuff because it kind of sticks in my mind a lot.
Yeah.
It's a bit hard to
Vincent Pella, for people who want to know. Yeah, it was very sad to see reckless driving involved. So there's going to be, right now we're in the it sucks phase. There's certainly going to be a phase of like the blame and the, because he was, it was reckless driving. The area where they wrecked was so norm for people doing that my friends who live in there were like, yeah, we know that exact spot. That's why there were cameras set up. That's why people are sitting there all the time, because you jump in your sports car and you go racing around. And man, it reminds me a little bit of Paul Walker. When Paul Walker passed away, where the cars are
just tragic as well.
I've told you, I think I've told you this. My car isn't, it's a sports car, but it's not that level of sports car. But even mine's got away from me a couple times, and I race on tracks. Like we go to the track. It's like, that's what I've done. I love racing. And they, you see, there's a reason why F1
you can still
racers
lose control.
You can still lose control. Yeah. Especially
you get a bit cocky. You're listening to some music or
But it was awesome to see the love. I think somebody, bad things can happen. You can still celebrate somebody. Like, I know that we live in a world where it's like, oh, if you've done one wrong thing, like, we're going to hate you forever. That makes no sense to me. One of the cool things about him, one of the things that I really liked hearing was every person who worked with him, man, was posting saying, like, this guy helped me through this. He would come in, talk to everybody. He was always there to assist. Now, you're going to, of course, get people who have had bad experiences. Those will take a while to pop up. This is just the way that humans mourn on social media, I guess, would be the easiest way to describe it. But for somebody who was the head of multiple huge game projects and stuff like that, it was definitely a name. And I would feel really remiss not discussing it. That we hadn't done our due diligence. And yeah, it sucks, man. It was great to
tragic.
I ended up sitting up reading a lot of the comments from people who've worked with him. That was awesome, because they were just, they were coming in hot and heavy. It was just like, holy shit, this guy, like, I bumped into him and he did this. And then a year later, he went and remembered me and tweeted me or whatever and got me a job. Or, it was just like he was always on top of things, regardless of your position, which is pretty hard for somebody in his spot, shows a real human there. Yeah, very sad times.
He had a big impact.
55 too, man, just a couple years older than me. And car crash, of course, is not going to matter, but it's like, can end at any time. Better have your shit in a row. If you died tomorrow, let's say you were taking down your Christmas tree lights and one of your fingers had a little water on it. Boom, electrified. What do you think? Do you believe if you went and saw like some, spirit, it's like there's pearly gates and everything, right? And they're like, okay, you can come in. You have to give us the worst thing you've ever done. You don't have to tell us what it is. The worst thing you've ever done and the best thing you've ever done, even if it wasn't selfless, because I think that's sort of, we're all a little selfish because it's tribalism. But do you think they even out? Do you think your good is better? Have you been a person to where you're like, you know what, this good I did, I remember this one good, I'm getting in to the pearly gates? Or do you think there's going to be guards at the pearly gates going,
Huh.
it was a good try, bro.
No way, bro.
It was a good try, Johnny, but we can't get you in. Maybe they'll put you on a 90-day
that's a really
restricted
interesting.
access.
That's a really interesting framing, because I've always thought in terms of the summation of all the good you've done, rather than like single acts. I don't know if I have like single acts, outside of donating to charity and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's
fair.
now pretty standard. But I think in summation, yeah, I feel like I left stuff better than I found it overall.
That's
And
smart to say.
I think overall, I think I did succeed, like being a decent person overall. And I think honestly, that's the best we can shoot for.
Yeah.
Some people can do more, but as an average Joe, I think that's a decent place to shoot for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's fair.
What about you? How do you feel about it?
I ain't getting it.
Really? Nah,
I ain't getting it. Not even coming close to getting
I think you're too hard on yourself.
I'm not too hard on myself. There's no way I'm getting it. No. If it's real and there's some gates there, they're going to be bars.
Okay.
And
so if they're keeping
it's gonna be
tabs
jail
on
bars.
everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if you really, even if, because I have a, warped sense of, it's my own belief of like, if you were to face something like a judgment, which I don't necessarily believe in, but if I'm just talking about along the lines of, if I went there, no.
Yeah.
No matter what, I believe you're right in summation of life. If you ignore any kind of pearly gates, it's probably better to leave the world a better place. I think that I couldn't even tell you that, because like I do remember the bad stuff that I do or whatever, I'll be like, man, like what the fuck, was I thinking? And the good stuff I think is generally what we do normally, unless you're a psychopath. So a little harder to remember. So there's that. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's going to be bars, and those bars are going to be like, dude, it's not happening. You're not getting in, man. like we appreciate the visit, and you can certainly come and you can listen to the cool music from outside. But the tickets are already no longer on sale, kind of thing. I'll do my evil playthrough in the next life. Faber says, yeah, there you go. Carrick's thinking about all the nerds he shoved into closets. No, I definitely would be the opposite of that. I would be the person fucking absolutely railing against stuff like that. Fuck, I hate that shit. There's something about physical bullying that I'm just like, like I don't know why, but that always bothered me even as a kid, even though I was bigger. Like I just never believed in that. We have a bunch of stuff for games. We've got new titles that are coming out. I'm going to do a preview on a couple, probably Expanse, Exodus. We got a video on Exodus couple days ago, as well as some new interviews about Matthew McConaughey and how he got into it, which I thought was a really interesting interview. I don't know if you got to see that one for Exodus.
No, so I'll
So-
have to look it up.
It was pretty cool. Basically, the people who were talking about putting him in it didn't remember how the actual initial discussion happened. They did, because it's been a while. They didn't remember like who contacted who. It was probably through an agent, whatever. But they did exactly what we've talked about, and what I brought up is that he's spacey. He knew Interstellar well. He knew the idea of Interstellar, and so when they got in there and started describing to him what the plans were with time dilation, what the plans were with the story, he just immediately bit in. And then people were saying it was AI, and I was like, what? It's not AI. Like, dude, it's so funny because now we're getting to the false claim AI. And so people are like, oh, yeah, that's an AI voice for Matthew McConaughey. And I'm like, you ever heard him read? By the way, there's audiobooks where he reads them. He's pretty dry. He's a pretty dry reader. He's a better thespian actor and, like a scene in front of him kind of guy versus reading. He's got a pretty monotone voice other than his mannerisms and his accent. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting to see that he did buy off on it. He does definitely want to
Yeah.
be there, and he's super interested in the world and all the different stuff with time dilation, which I thought was awesome. If it's going to be judged by actual good deeds, pretty much nobody will pass. I think a lot of people would. Just
It depends how high the bar is, right? Maybe it's so low. Like, listen, man, the bar is very low.
Yeah,
like,
maybe it's like,
you know,
did you not kick the cat? Yeah, you're in.
yes.
What if they're so
you
happy
didn't
to have
beat up a
people who are
homeless person?
generally somewhat good that they're just super excited about it? They're like, dude, you didn't like kill anybody purposefully. You stabbed a couple people, but whatever. You didn't kill anybody. You're in, and you're like, damn, bar is low. The Batman Now 861 says, did you guys see 007 got delayed too? As someone who watches 007 religiously every Christmas for some reason, I was bummed. That's legit. Yeah, that was delayed. It does suck, but I also think guys, I don't think companies have more than one bad game or one big hit before they're in financial trouble. Especially those guys who have had their ups and downs and certainly had great success with Hitman. They are doing Bond. Bond doesn't resonate like it used to at all. It doesn't resonate. It doesn't feel realistic as much. Back in the day when there was a mystery about spies and you didn't have Variety doing 85 interviews with, different like spies to where you understand stuff and where they diss on James Bond. And it's after a while, you're like, yeah, that is pretty goofy. It's a harder sell. So them moving it to a more open space and making sure it's polished I'm all for it, right? I mean,
yeah,
I just feel like
and it's a good date still. Yeah, it's not that far.
Yeah, I feel like we don't have any. It's very difficult to come up with a negative for delay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, at this point, we just always prefer to err on the side of more preparation.
The Woker, what's this going to be? The Woker. 2025 has shown me how little decency is left here in the U.S. So yeah, the bar's pretty low. Brother, go other places and get back to me.
Yeah. I mean, that stuff you can find.
What did
you can find
say?
everywhere.
He said, I may bitch about it because he came in from Iraq, I believe. Is that where he came in from? I think that's where Amuski was from. But he was like, dude, I may be able to, I may bitch about things that happen, but he's like, God damn. He's like, boy, am I happy to be here. It's just like, hey, man, we're happy to have you. I'm always happy to have more Amudskis in my life. Also, oddly specific gadgets for specific situations. Back to Bond. Yeah, I would agree with that. I do hope everybody's having a good Christmas or had a good Christmas if that's what you celebrated. If you didn't, I got your toys. Did you get anything for Christmas that you were super excited for?
I got some stuff. We're so not traditional that we gave each other gifts way earlier in the month.
Damn, really? Okay.
Yeah, dude, like the 15th of December or something.
Because just that was the time you guys got
together. Yeah, got together, gave each other gifts. I got a couple nice books. I got that Lego set, the Rivendell set. That was more like a self gift. I bought it technically, but I'll still count it in there. Yeah.
Continue. Do you know? Let me show you something.
Oh yeah, cool. I'm interested if you got something as well.
Can you Simon's big book? The green screen's fucking up, but this is the book from Simon Whistler's channel that he always pimps.
Book, yeah, I saw that.
It's called. Yeah. It is literally called. Oh my god! It's because my lights are off. It's the book.
Yeah, there we go.
And then it's just so basically it's a post.
Wow.
It's a little hard to see. Let me try to figure out the green screen here. Let me see if I can figure it out. I should have turned my lights on. Oh,
there you go. Yeah.
Pretty close. So what this is it's basically like the end of the world, and a guy has written a book about humanity and what you've found. Now, most of it's sort of a knowledge book hidden in a story of a post-apocalyptic thing. But look at that fatty. That thing's thick. That thing is thick. It wasn't super expensive. You mentioned buy yourself something. I did buy myself that. I just said, fuck it. Bought myself a gift.
Yeah.
I was like, I want that. I did get a bunch of playing cards, which I'm a huge fan
Same.
of.
Oh,
For
cool.
D&D,
Yeah.
got some D20s for, well, I call it D&D, but it's our own game. Got a bunch of like little stuff that actually I appreciated people. It wasn't just on my Amazon list. You know how it is? You got that friend who's like, you're all, hey man, what do you want for Christmas? Oh, here's my Amazon list. And you're like, seriously, dude, that's basically just a post-dated or predated really shopping list. You know, like I don't want your fucking, you know, your GM Tech computer that's on there at 750 right next to a set of playing cards for $9.99. Like I'll usually track what people like and try to get them, you know, something that they like. I got a book nook, the wooden book nooks that I've told you with the glass front. So it'll be like Harry Potter on the front, and then you turn it, and inside you have a diorama, glass and lights. I got that for my wife, which was pretty cool.
Do you put that together with glue, or how does that work?
So we do, just because dogs and and it's easier to work with something that's stuck together versus, you know, ratcheted or held with pressure. So we'll do a little dab of so if you've ever seen super glue, how it bleaches stuff. So we get there's a glue you can buy that doesn't bleach things. But it still is super glue style, made by, I think this is a Gorilla Glue company. Yeah. So we put that, I mean, we're going to put it together, but yeah, we put those together in that way, which are really nice. Yeah, they're sweet. Very cool to have. That was about it for ours. Yeah, I watched some games online, sat in here with Discord folks, watched them play. We're more traditional. We do the Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, but we just sort of move pretty quickly through it. We're like, do you want to open presents? Yes. And then it's just a conga line of presents, and then you're done. And then
do you do the tree or no?
Yeah, we have a tree up year round because it's a fake one. The real trees are great, but with dogs, they'll pee on it, or dogs will smell all the smells and they'll start to get confused. And you can, if you have an older dog and you put a tree, this is going to sound really weird, but if you have an older dog and you have a tree, the dog will get confused that it's outside. It'll think it's outside, especially if it's got Alzheimer's. So we have a dog that's really close to that.
Dude.
So
I never thought of that, but they would think.
Yeah, they
it's
think they're
literally.
They're like, thanks for bringing the litter box inside for dogs. And you're like, nah, that's not what I did. But so we bought a fake one, put up 4th of July shit on there during 4th of July. We have ornaments for like 4th of July. It's behind a couch. It's not even in, I mean, you can see it, but it doesn't fuck up anything. And we have a fireplace we don't use. So we just put it near the fireplace, and then you put the couch in front of it, put different lights on it, shit like that. And then over time, I've got all kinds of ornaments, from video games to, you know, animation characters, whatever. Made some ornaments from a cool figurine I got in some way, put a hook on his head and throw him up there. And, you know, so it's a pretty eclectic little Christmas tree. But yeah, it stays up year round. Overall, yeah, year round. Moving on to game. I got myself a lot of shit. This is Wizard. I got myself a lot of shit. I got myself a lot of shit for Xmas. I like that. Few concert tickets, clothes, some kitchen gear, some games. There you go. The Batman now says, wanted to get myself a ROG Ally or Legion Go, but got my son an electric drum kit. Dude, so I got an electric drum kit and I haven't put it together. Thank you for reminding me. I think your son's going to love it. And with those, if it's the right kind, you put the earphones on, no one can hear you. So you're even...
Yeah, those are great.
Yeah. Checkmate Stallion, $5 super chat. Merry Christmas. I hope you all had a great one. I played some classic 16-bit Genesis games that brought back so many memories from my 90s childhood. So let's guess. Revenge of Shinobi, Ghouls and Ghosts, Zillion. Nope, Zillion's 8-bit. 16-bit. Let's see. Strider. Maybe? What about Phantasy Star? What other Genesis ones were there that I really liked? Desert Strike, Jungle Strike, Urban Strike. Tales of Might and Magic? Okay, now you tell us what you played. I probably didn't get any of those right. I just tell people to get my Steam gift card if they ask. Christmas has become so... Man. Yeah. Steam gets their old 30%. Thanks for the gift card, bitches. Strider is a classic. It is. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely. Shinobi 3. Okay. I was somewhat close. Somewhat close. Yeah. Yep. I should have said Shinobi 3. I said Strider. Ghostwire says, what's the gift you guys got that meant a lot? For example, someone got me a t-shirt of one of my fave shows with which I hadn't even discussed with them. Oh, that shit's awesome. Yeah. Ooh, Ristar. Good game. Streets of Rage, another good game. What's up, Tembo? Yeah, what's a gift? Have you ever got a gift that was special for just a random reason? Somebody gave you a gift that you were like, oh, damn.
I don't know if it counts. Like, I got an electric guitar when I was young. I was like 13 years old.
Uh-huh.
And my parents gifted me my first electric guitar. And that was magical. But yeah, outside of that, there haven't been that many. I would say we don't do like super huge gifts overall. It's more like smaller symbolic stuff.
I'm also hard to gift for because if I need something, I need it and I don't put it on a list. And
I'm super hard to give for because I have all the gear.
Yeah. And my brain will purposely destroy desire if I don't have the money for something. So if I want something that don't have the money, I'm not the type of person who sits up late at night going, man, I can't wait to get this.
I really want that $5,000,
I don't
audio interface.
I'll look forward to that with like, I can't wait to get together with friends. That I will definitely sit and be like, oh, this is going to, like a little kid, but not for stuff. So I am definitely harder to gift. I know in the last couple of years, my parents have been really mad because they'll be like, what's on your gift list? And I'll be like, I don't know, Rockstar, Mountain Dew. Just like, because I just don't think that way. This year, I did make sure to like respond and give them a couple ideas, which was good. XBIS is basically an exercise in mind control. It's ingrained in us as children and carries out throughout our lives. Got to make those fourth quarter profits. Yeah. I mean, prior to that, when it wasn't about stores, people said it was mind control because of the Saint. In the end, I'm okay with a good mind control where it's all about giving people stuff. And if that ends up buying some stuff, maybe somebody gets paid. I'm fine with that. OG Xbox from Grams. Ooh, your grandma bought an OG Xbox for you guys? My grandma wouldn't even have known.
That's cool.
My grandma would have went into like oh man, I don't even know what my grandmother would have done if she went into a game store.
Yeah, buy you a mini disc.
My grandma would have probably bought me a pickaxe and been like, I went to the game store, they all stank and they're slovenly and you need to work out more. Here's a pickaxe. Go dig us a retaining wall. I have no clue what my grandma would think if she went into like a GameStop. It would not be pretty because she was pretty old school. I don't think my grandma would have been that cool. Well, one of my grandparents was. The other grandma was and grandpa. They were more young kid. Mike, $20 super chat. Happy Boxing Day, everybody, from a snowy day in Toronto. Good for you. Toronto. She was hip, Robert says. Yeah, she sounds like it. Dude, do you think it helped, Johnny? I think the best thing for games, this is not a joke, might be the Wii. And the reason why is it brought in people that the Atari 2600 had sort of started. My mom, the moms of the world, the dads of the world. And then it went hardcore for a great deal of time. And the Genesis, black with a cartridge just looked sort of like aggressive. All these systems looked aggressive. And then you have the Wii, which is not threatening. It's a remote. And everybody's dad understands what a fucking remote is, right? So even your dad could be like, boom, with a tennis racket if he wanted to. I think the Wii
exactly
probably helped.
The Wii Sports or like Wii, that became a staple.
It helped gaming explode
for households
more than almost anything else because it reminded people that there were also differences. Because on the Wii, they also had a couple more hardcore, not as many, but that meant their grandma could play Wii Sports, they could play Fire Emblem or whatever, and it would just be that really cool mix of different people around the same thing. It's always cool to have that experience with a parent. When my mom loves movies, so like when you've seen, and my mom and dad both do, when you've seen an action movie, and my parents both love Tom Cruise, it's cool to be able to talk to them about it. Just have that one thing you have in common versus them being like, I was in the Battle of Verdun and I don't understand this kid shit. And you're like, all right, gotta listen to the Nam stories from grandpa or something like that. It's cooler when you can be like, hey,
it was a good piece of overlap between, that different demographic.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And us.
KVO, the fan, 5106, picked up Stalker 2. I'm looking forward to the immersion that I heard was good. Not only is it very good, let's shout out the companies that released big DLC this year in the last 3 months, including Stalker 2, which has a bunch of additional quests. They did a huge update. Dude, it's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's awesome.
I was just looking into that before. It's like 5 hours of new content with quests and stuff. Crazy.
And different people that are there who probably have Radiant stuff. So the 5 hours is probably their made stuff. But then from that point on, you start looking at these people and you go, I'm going to make sure to bring some supplies back. And you add even more hours to what they've built in their quests. It's great, man. I love that shit. Yeah. A lot of DLC this year. Division 3, man. Or Division 2. Sorry. Division 2 added comrades, as I like to call them. Basically, you get AI bots that run around with you. Huge bonus for a lot of people who play that game. You know, just those times where you sit down to want to play a game, sometimes you want an AI to go with you. A Division feels so solitary. So the idea of being able to grab a AI bot to run around and tell them to help you attack and stuff is fucking awesome. You know, it just gives you that one feeling. Grizzly Reaper says, thumbs up for you, Carrick. Merry Xmas. You as well. Mom got me an Aussie Memorial shirt. Wizard seems to have it dialed in. He bought himself shit, and his mom got him an Aussie Memorial shirt. So, like, it seems like Wizard understands Christmas.
Yeah.
The Batman 861, off topic, but hope your dad is doing better these days. I remember years ago when I first started listening, he had some neck problems. Yeah, he broke his neck. He didn't have neck problems. He rolled out of bed during a night terror and caught his neck on the fucking cupboard and broke his spine and his neck, and somehow is walking around.
He's
Dude, I always feel like
tough one.
He is. He's stoved up, but I see him and I'm like, damn. Like I'll get
he's a diehard.
Yeah, like I'll get a sliver. I cut myself and I'm like, that cut's really bothering me. And then I remember my dad hammering a piece of wood and a splinter went from his thumb to his knuckle, so he couldn't even bend it. It was under the fingernail, so you could see it under the skin. It was it wasn't even a splinter. God. It was a log. This is, by the way, we have pictures of it. It was the gnarliest splint. I don't even want to, it was a piece of wood under his nail bed all the way here. And my dad when we went to the hospital, he was trying to bend it to break it and pull it out. And I was like, Dad, what are you doing? Like, you're going to tear it was like a broken bone to me. It was like, dude, what are you doing? Just leave it the fuck alone. He gets in there and they're like, okay, we're going to give it a shot of Novocaine. And he's like, why? It's just my thumb. And they just yanked it out. It was like that wide, man. It was, and I'm sitting there going, man, this little bump on my finger hurts. Damn. Parents were born at a different
That reminds
time.
me of Landman. There was a similar scene
in the episode of Landman.
Yeah, where he just like takes off his own finger because he just wants to be done with it.
Yeah, I forgot that episode. Such a great show.
That
Landman.
was gnarly. But
yeah, such a great show. Such a great show. Speaking of games, though, so Star Citizen came up. Play a bunch of it. I think I have about 200 hours in Star Citizens, I guess. Star Citizens. About 200 hours. I spent 45 when it first started 77 years ago. Like fucking ages ago. It's at $1 billion.
You got your money's worth already.
It's at $1 billion, dude. $1 billion. Which is interesting to me that it's lasted that long at $1 billion. And then you get some games that have come out in a shorter time and they're in the 500, 600 million, which shows you how much games cost regardless of how you make it or what your team is doing. Games can cost, an incredible amount. But they were talking about, they're still looking to get 42, which is their single player bit out, which I'm excited for. But it is crazy because like it's in the, I guess you'd call it in the, people played it and beat it. He said it's fully playable all the way through. All elements are fully playable. And I don't think this game can ever equal the talk. But some of the stuff that I've played in it and some of these moments of fun I've had in it, I still think I'll probably end up enjoying it. Maybe not, we don't care too much about how it's made. You're just hoping to play it. Certainly would have liked it 10 years ago, 5 years ago. 5 years ago would have probably been better. But yeah, $1 billion, Johnny. $1 billion.
Yeah.
Like, now, all those people are employed too. I mean, which is also great. We need that, by the way. But, especially in this industry. But man,
that's a good point. That doesn't matter how good it is, almost guaranteed it will disappoint people, because when you think about $1 billion project,
It's just
the expectations are so high.
it's beyond anything, and it's $1 billion, right? So, you know, it's $1 billion. Like, now,
Yeah.
again, I'm super happy people are employed, and that they've got a ton of people who are employed, a ton of people who are doing work in the industry, which we need. But it would be great to have 2 games for $1 billion, you know, their first game, and, you know, already have them being working on the second one, which is unfortunately not happening. But still, yeah, it was crazy amount of money. What do we got for news? Because I have a bunch of questions too from folks, but we'll do some news first. What's like one bit of news?
Let's see.
What's up, Rangers? Go ahead, sir.
Silksong hit 7 million copies sold. Good for them. It's a massive hit. Even for that game, we expected it to be big,
pure
but
insanity. That's good.
Yeah.
What did Silksong come out cost-wise? What was that? Was that Xbox Live?
It was Game Pass.
Game Pass. So it shows games can still sell even on Game Pass. Like,
yes, and this number doesn't include Game Pass players. Which, if you add that to this, it must be a ginormous number of players.
Yeah, for sure.
For that game. Would be interesting if we ever got data. Do we ever see data of a number of players in Game Pass for specific games?
Yeah, but it'll be the developer. So the developer can sort of talk about whatever they want. And what you'll first hear is, we have double the number of players in Game Pass than we've sold. Or, you know, like, so then you can pretty quickly go and figure it out. Then you'll have the people who are really happy about their Game Pass sales, and they'll go, you know, sort of explain more. Then you have like Journey of the Savage Planet, or whatever the sequel was to the Savage Planet game, where they basically chased down an Xbox deal and were super mad about it because I guess it just didn't work out. Not, unfortunately, just pointing out that game just didn't really resonate with a lot of players. Like, you can blame Xbox Live if you want, but I mean, if we look at games that are good that don't sell, it's a very high number now. There's just, sometimes it's too hard, and you get a game that you're like, wow, how did this not sell, right? So I think the same thing can happen for the games that are good. But this one in particular, 7 million sales, that's awesome. Like, that's absolutely tremendous. You know, somebody's out there is getting a lot of prostitutes. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're doing something frugal and smart and investing. I wouldn't. I would be like Vegas dude, you know how stoved up you'd be after that long of development. How long was that game in development? 7 years? 5?
That's true. Years? It was a massive. You gotta
sow those oats, man. You gotta get your shoulders into it for a little while.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
What would be a good celebration?
I thought
like if you were in their shoes.
What would be a good escort?
Oh my God.
Anyway, I was like, we can talk about this, man. Sorry.
Definitely go Chinese for the escort.
Yeah, exactly. We got to get the massage first. What were you saying though? Sorry.
What's a good celebration? So let's say you're just coming off the back of a 7-year project.
Right.
And you nailed it, right? 7 million sales, boom. Everybody's super happy.
Mm-hmm.
You're super happy. How would you celebrate it?
So, honestly, what I would do is, if it was possible, I would give people a bonus, and then I would say, do you guys want to do something together, or do you not want to talk to each other for a couple months because you've worked so closely?
Which is also understandable.
It's understandable.
Yeah.
I've had amazing after work parties where somebody's like, dude, the project went off without a hitch, and I am known as not the party guy. I don't usually go to events for the most part. I'll set them up. I love setting up events, but I'm not it's just not for me. I think it would be good to say, hey guys, if you guys don't want anybody around and you want to go your separate ways, so somebody wants to go on a cruise, somebody just wants to see their family, here's enough money that really you got your druthers. You do anything you want for a month. You go out there, you fly around, you screw, you do whatever you want, right? You sort of burn it out. You get out. I want people to come back to do the patches, the DLC, whatever, where they want to come back. Because I do miss work. If I like my work, where I'll be gone for a certain amount of time and be like,
yeah,
you know, I'm ready to go start doing stuff again in this particular
Definitely.
area. So that's probably what I would do, is a bonus plus the question, open-ended question. Do you guys want to do something together, or would you rather not see each other? You know,
Take a break. Yeah, take a month without talking to each other.
Yeah. The only problem is patches, right? You almost have to hire somebody separate if you want to do that and be like, okay, you guys are going to handle the patches. Here's the code base.
Yeah.
Or
delay that a little bit, maybe.
Yeah. 7 years is a slog. It is. Rub and tub as the appetizer or pre-party. Rub. Got to say, Santa, you're looking great this year. Been working out. I'm assuming I'm Santa because of the beard, but you might be Santa. So who knows? I could be the elf. Hang on. A lot of times when we do the videos, I'll put my video down because I'll be moving and I always look like a dwarf anyway. I saw my coworkers enough. I would like extra time off above all else. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I can get that. What about you? Like, what would you want to do? 7 years of working. You get done. What's your first thought?
The idea of doing something together is really cool.
Okay.
You know, maybe a travel. You go to like Japan, just eat some ramen together.
Dude, you have such a lofty, like almost ethereal idea of humanity. The idea that everybody would want to go on a trip to Japan together and that it would work out.
That's true. That's very optimistic.
Dude, it's like, that's a warm hug of optimism that I just don't see.
Let's just sit there in that cloud. We don't have to ground ourselves with reality here.
Yeah, love hotels. Hey, they're there. What else do we got for news?
So the other thing is Marathon got a date for next year. So March of next year. What do we think for Marathon? It's actually, you know, earlier than I expected for them.
I think that game, I mean, dude, that game is, we talked about it last week. That game is in, so it's
going to have to beat some odds.
It's got to be
succeed.
Long odds. We're talking not like Buster Douglas beating Mike Tyson, but like a small child who was just born beating premier Mike Tyson, who is really hungry. I don't see, there are so many issues with the company and the thought processes and the art stuff and the discussion around it, as well as the hands-on with it, that have been notoriously, like, the best I think I've heard of that game, Johnny, is, oh, it's surprisingly okay. Dude.
That might be the best they, you know, that might actually be the best they can shoot for.
It's I feel for
because they've lost so much already in terms of like goodwill of the people, interest, to be frank. Even the people who were into it, they're no longer talking about it.
Yeah.
You know, for the longest time.
Yeah, man, that is a rough one. Our art style, we've talked about this. When you filter an art style, which is great, but you're artificially filtering out some people because of the art style. We saw it with Borderlands, and people may have jumped back in, but at first there was a lot of like, whoa, what is this? It looks, you know, and some people dive in right away, and some people, I mean, we've seen it. I saw somebody say they didn't want to play Silksong because of the graphics, which I absolutely understand. If you look at Silksong, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. It's a particular art style, you know, but you get a shooter like this with such a odd hodgepodge art. I guess hodgepodge would be the best way to describe that art style. You know, it looks a little bit like 75 different people put a little bit into it. And that, I think, is hard to sell to anybody. The other thing is, Johnny, I don't know if anybody has a cohesive idea of what Marathon is. You don't hear about it.
No.
And the discussion around it is like, oh, there's some hidden stuff that we aren't allowed to show or see that changes everything. And I remember hearing somebody saying, oh, there's a map that's amazing, changes everything. And I was like, so you're saying there's 3 maps that we've seen 1,000 times that aren't good, that I'm going to have to play through to get to the good map? And I know that that's not what the person was trying to say. They were trying to glean a little hope from it, but I glean reality from that. And those are the rough spots. But we've been wrong before. Guardians of the Galaxy is a good example, you know, of a game that I think it looked better than this, but a game that looked rough and turned out to be fantastic. So
I think even the people who liked it, though, didn't have something distinctive they could point to.
Yeah, right.
That was the identity of the game. Instead, I think they actually pointed to the art style,
Right.
for those who liked it. And they said, listen, this is cool. This looks unique.
And
but then
art
if
style
that part
is-
doesn't grab you.
Art style is what matter. I mean, art style is, looks matter. It's a big deal to grab people with that. And, it's
Yeah. So,
hasn't.
would be cool to see it succeed despite all the, maybe it is the one guy at the casino who's already lost 90% of his money, but he's about to make the biggest comeback ever and make a story out of it. To put a positive spin on it. That's the best I can do there.
That is, man, I appreciate your optimism once again. You guys can take your trip to Japan and play marathon. But I feel like,
or just stay home and eat your ramen, your $2 ramen.
Yeah. It's funny because it's weird the game doesn't look appealing because Kig was in this discussion, I believe, yesterday, maybe it was the day before. We were all talking about marathon and then talking about games like Concord and these others that don't have anything defining, and how we may be looking at that time where defining something, even if it's not excellent, is what matters more because there's too many games. So if you have 10,000 games come out in a year, defining, even if it's a rough definition, does seem to be a little bit better. Even these games that are like, hey, look at us, it's got a ton of money, it looks really good. If there's not something about it, a character or something, that definition is what causes a person to sit in a Discord and say, hey, have you guys seen this? This looks interesting, or this looks good. And I think in the history of our Discord, Johnny, I have not a single time heard somebody say Marathon looks interesting. That to me is like a good indicator of like, damn. And I've been on that end too, where I like the idea of a game and, you bring it up and people are like, okay. You just sort of get quiet. You're like, all right. So I guess nobody agrees. We'll just have to see. What was it? What was the date they announced? March?
March.
So James Bond is May. Is that correct? March, April, May. You got those two. What else we got in that time frame? We've got a couple, but nothing huge in that time frame. It's a good time for them to release. That might be a good time.
I
January,
think so.
February, March. You come out of February. I don't know what the financials look like in the last couple of years for spending in your March area, but that might be a good time to release. Maybe there's nothing else there.
Well, there is Crimson Desert also slated for March. But then again, I don't know how much overlap there's going to be, and
do we want to do an over under? Do we want to make a gentleman's bet about Crimson Desert being delayed?
Dude, yeah.
We want to do it. Anybody in chat, you guys can feel free to make your own. Listen, I'm going to do a preview of it. There's enough data. Found some other stuff out, doing some investigation on that game. I think it's well worth talking about. However, the previews in particular were a bit rough. There was a lot of complaints about the core mechanics in the game. And there ain't nothing out there that takes longer than a core mechanic. If the core mechanic is fucked up, there's a lot of, you change the core mechanic. Now you've changed the side mechanic. Side mechanic no longer feels good. So now you get
true.
Dude, I don't know. February would have been a good month because February in the past couple years has been those big games. Your Zelda, I think Zelda was a February, right? And Horizon released with Zelda one time. Horizon.
Oh yeah,
those guys.
And First Light is in March actually.
First Light.
So 007 is.
007
March.
is also in March.
Yeah.
That's a.
There you go. End of March.
End of March. All right. Well, I guess they're assuming people are sort of, especially in America. I don't know when you do your taxes or what you have to do. We do ours, rolling out ours now, and then you've got a couple.
There is also
maybe some people are hoping.
There's also a game called. Sorry, cut you off.
No,
there's a game called Screamer, which sounds very obscene.
It does
when you think about it. I'll have to look into it.
He or she is a screamer. Yeah, I've never heard of that one. Yeah, might be Two of those games in March, huh? Well, they don't have a ton of overlap, right? But they overlap as time, not necessarily genre. If you've got 8 hours on your weekend, you're making plans for just one, or maybe you do too. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it could still be fine for them, but it's definitely we got some big releases.
We do
already.
We
slated for.
Dylan says studio definitely has the money to delay Crimson Desert. Oh yeah, they've got the money to delay it, and especially as much. It's interesting to see the dichotomy between like Marathon, which is a big company known for these specific things, not really capturing any kind of zeitgeist, and then you see like Crimson Desert. They don't have to overlap in the genre. I'm just talking about the zeitgeist of it. It goes to show you how, like, just how what it feels like when you get a game that everybody's talking about versus nobody. It's just like the difference there is there's such an eye on Crimson Desert. Yeah, I would say delaying that would be fine. Hey, I'd love to see it. The sooner the better. Because I want to play that game. I think Crimson Desert looks like it could be one of those fun games that's a little bit like Dragon's Dogma, Elix, and Witcher all smashed together. You're doing a little bit of everything.
Maybe a little Eurojank vibe.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, what's funny? The Eurojank, once again, doesn't come in a lot of ways. The Eurojank in an Elix or a Technomancer is available and viewable right when you're walking. The animation's a little weird, right? Or the animation for pulling a weapon's a little weird. Crimson Desert really doesn't have that kind of Eurojank. It's got the Eurojank in the combos and the combat and in the mechanics, which that could be rough. Once again, another bit of how rough that could possibly be. But yeah, let's hope. What else do we got?
Let's see. The other thing is that Dead Island 3 was talked about for 2028.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. Dead Island 2 did pretty well.
Well is an understatement. It did really well. And it not only did do well, Johnny, it did well in the face of a disastrous development process. Disastrous.
Yeah.
There are few games in the world that you look and go, that's not coming out. Truly not coming out. It switched developers. It was remade completely. It had all kinds of people leaving and coming and new
They changed a bunch of stuff about
it was nuts.
What the game was going to be.
Yeah. And it arrived as an incredibly fun game that it was very difficult to feel.
On release. It was solid. Yeah.
And it was hard to feel the difficulties they had. When you played the game, you were like, I'm not really feeling, there's nothing sitting here that feels like it might be from another game. And it had
co-op. Day one, it's great.
Good dismemberment system and a couple bosses that were a little rough. Had a bit
some innovation there, actually, with the dismemberment and those mechanics.
I like the card system in that, which I normally don't go for, but I like the skill. They're not really cards. Honestly, we have a tendency to misuse card explanation. Oh, it's a card battler, when in real life it's just a skill on a card. And you're not really
it's just a skill
using
on
a deck.
Card.
It's just
We need a different name for that because it's not deck building, is it?
No,
it's more like
it's not.
It's just a different way to portray your skills instead of a skill.
Instead of a fucking list, right?
Tree.
Yeah. And dude, how many times
I think the idea with it,
cool graphics,
Yeah, there's that. And I think the main idea is that instead of having a set skill tree that you're progressing through, it's more customizable, or that you can kind of build something a bit more custom, and you're not stuck to a certain order of unlocking. I think that's the main thing the cards give you, just like Back for Blood and stuff.
I was going to bring up Back for Blood. I was also going to say it's one of the problems Outer Worlds 2 has. Outer Worlds 2 has so many skills, dude. It's ridiculous. And they are good. There are some crazy ones. Some, not all, very, maybe 20% or plus one. But most of them pretty dramatically adjust, percentages and what you can do. And you can feel that impact right away. But it's just a list, man. And dude, analysis paralysis is a thing. When you look at a list, you're like, all right, okay, what does this do? And when you see a Back for Blood or whatever, when it shows you a card, it does help. It does help a little bit to, graphically sort of match on to whatever it is skill, even if it just shows a clip with blood on it to indicate bleeding bullets, which, by the way, most bullets are bleeding. I've always been really confused by bleeding being an add-on.
Why do these bleed?
Yeah, flechette rounds.
But if I remember correctly, Back for Blood, you could choose from a pool of cards. Is that right?
Yeah.
Because what I like with cards is when you're given 2 or 3 options, and then you choose from those, and then you rinse and repeat, and you start building like that. I don't like as much when you just have a pool to choose from, because that becomes a bit overwhelming.
And
I'm now
opposite.
thinking,
I don't want.
Oh my god!
I like the pool because I don't like the build part. I don't want a deck. That is a deck builder to me at that point.
It's a bit of a deck builder. Yeah. I mean, I like it because you're building your archetype in a way, brick by brick.
I get you. Yeah, it's
but
just
maybe
how
for
we
those
look
games,
at the same thing. I think, we both like it. It's just for completely different.
Yeah, I don't know if for every game though, because Back for Blood worked really well. So
God, it was fun once they fixed it. Because when that came out, there were all kinds of issues. And then they fixed the card system. They went in, they adjusted stuff. And that was some of the best experiences I've had in the ACG Discord, was just playing games with people and jumping in. Jet Black Ninja, $50 super chat. Happy Fridays, gang. It's been a blast to be part of the ACG community and hanging out in Discord, wishing everybody the best. Yeah, I was just asking yesterday where the hell you were, but I do see you still playing Where Winds Meet, so I'm assuming you actually found a guild that stayed together, or maybe you're still in ours, but you're getting a chance to play that game. But yeah, it was a blast, man. I'm glad to have you around. It's very cool to see people who have been around for a while in Discord. They'll pop out, go for a little bit, come back. We had that a couple days ago where a bunch of new people, well, I thought they were new, started piping off, and then I looked at the usernames and I'm like, dude, we got some long-term patrons in there. We have patrons. I think the majority of our patrons are 3+ years. I mean, we still get new ones, but I'm saying the old ones have stuck around, so the percentage is higher. Where Winds Meet was fun. Got to play some of that. Great free-to-play game. So cool to see those. Dude, there's so many games we played this year. There were problems with the industry, but when it comes to what I got to play, there weren't as many. I feel like I got to play.
Yeah, do you think it was because some people were saying it wasn't a very good year for games, with the exception of some big ones. But I feel like every year there's just a lot of good stuff. This year there was a lot of games
I think
we played and liked.
I think it is objectively a great year. I think that subjectively, if you look at a certain level of games, AA above or something like that, or indie only, it may not be. Because they just may not hit for you.
Yeah.
But if you look at
on a certain slice, maybe.
If you look at games total, you have a couple games that we never thought would be released, like a Silk Song, and it comes out finally. You get games like Expedition, which is a RPG, which doesn't get a lot of shine. Persona got shine, but really when you look at it, they don't get a lot of shine very often unless it's a very particular company. This is a new company, which then offers, even if you didn't love Expedition, it's a different worldview than Persona. So you're and Metaphor felt a lot like Persona too. Even
was
though
that last year? Metaphor?
Oh, sorry. It was.
No, I just want to check.
Wait a minute,
because it kind of feels like this
it won
year.
for this year. It won for this year, so it was February, right? February or January?
No, it was last year.
Dude, was it?
Yeah, it won some prizes last year.
Which game
Isn't
are we
that
talking
crazy?
about?
I was talking about Metaphor.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking about okay. I was talking about Expedition this entire time. The Metaphor that I did bring up, that one, yes. Sorry, I was saying in the past, throughout the years, those games have sort of framed the RPG, and then you've got Expedition, which is outside that frame, and that's really exciting.
And then you have a game like Death Stranding 2, which did super well. Didn't win any prizes, but did really well.
And it did really well ratings-wise. It did not do well at all sales-wise, unfortunately.
I think that is the indication of a good year too.
Yeah.
Where you have so many good games that some really good games don't get
it's true
awards or special recognition.
Or they don't even sell great, but they're still that's the thing, dude, is all the defining that people want to do. If you look at the wholesales, that's one thing, the total amount of money, then you can say positive, negative. But if you look at a lot of the games, there's still an amazing number of games. It's just some won't sell. You know, we've seen that so many times. How many games have you loved and you're like, why did nobody like it? Like, this is so weird.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about a double A with some Eurojank. I'm talking about a you know, a very, very good game just doesn't catch on, you know, whether it be time or Twitch streamers weren't streaming it, you know, which I firmly believe, we don't want to admit it, but I firmly believe a lot of what we're seeing now is we've made that full transfer over into influencers or PR. And if an influencer plays your game, it is just, it sucks, but it's probably the best PR you can get, because if you have an influencer who's got, you know, 10,000 people watching plus another 100,000 views, and the game isn't shit, there's just a lot of potential buyers. And
I mean, some of these guys have millions of subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, and if they love a game and they explode about it on YouTube, that is probably the best PR you can get.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, but this year's been great. You know, there's certain years where I think are like the 3 top games I like came out, or the 2 top games I've loved for years have come out. But overall, every year, as long as you like games, dude, if you, that's the thing, right? You can smell it. You can smell people are tired of games. Whether
the jaded people.
There's a lot of people that you're like, whether it be a friend that you talk to, and I'm certain I've been that friend. Absolutely certain. I don't remember a year, but I'm absolutely certain I was talking to Cadiz or you, and I was like, you know. But when you look at it, it's just an explosion. The simulation market alone eclipsed the numbers of like action RPGs from 6 years ago this year. Like the amount
I mean,
of
this year we've had some blow up, like the Pokemon card trader.
Dude, that you know, exploded. Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't even know if those need streamers. If you put the word simulator in Steam,
you know, I think
in your title, you're probably in good shape.
Maybe it is still a big part, because those did have like big streamers doing, so we can't discount that. Yeah.
Some didn't.
Some didn't.
Yeah, some didn't. And they still, or they had 5,000, you know, people or whatever. And because there were too many simulator games coming out at the same time. You know,
they've still hit on something.
Yeah. Yeah. But I agree. Yeah, obviously you can never, I don't think going into the future, you can ever disregard the huge impact. I'm going to say paid for, because it's not a derogatory. Steam or Twitch streamers are very open that almost every game they stream for a company is paid. They're not like YouTubers. Yeah. So, and that's fine. And Rumble's different, whatever. Kick is different, or whatever these other ones. But it's very difficult to like ignore that Twitch in particular with paid streaming is a massive it's a massive bonus for your company. I don't know if it's as massive on YouTube, because on YouTube, the videos stick around. And so while somebody may say, I love this game and streamed it, 5 other people are like, this game has a female protagonist, I hate it. And so they can eat up the viewership, you know, by just surrounding whatever the one that's positive. And that's a bad example. You could have it be about anything. But I'm just saying, YouTube's a different beast. Yeah, for sure. So, Twitch has been vital for that kind of stuff. TikTok probably is too, but I don't know anything about TikTok other than that it's brain rot. Hate using that word, because I don't really think it's a thing. I think that's humans just being stupid. You know, you can blame the video, but I think most of the time it's like, you know,
it's us making bad use of that, you know, because if you had like a healthy relationship with the app where you just use it for 15 minutes to have a good time and then you shut it off, that would be completely fine. It's the, you know, giving into the obsessive compulsive cycle.
Like, dude, I do it. I'll open up YouTube Shorts. There's this one girl, I guess she's probably a model, I would say, but she probably has an Instagram or a TikTok. I don't see it. She just does costumes. So she did 31 Halloween costumes. And is she gorgeous? Yes. Beyond belief. But she also has one of the best delivery styles I think I've seen in years. So this is not the TikTok, we're going to dance. Her delivery style is, dude, it's spot on. She does a jump, Johnny, that has become weirdly its own thing. She'll get ready. She has this weird way of standing, and she does. So, have you ever seen Tool when they sing a song on stage?
Yeah.
Or Limp Bizkit is even more. Most people headbang forward, right? So when the beat happens, they go boom. If you watch Fred Durst, in particular from Limp Bizkit, he did this. He would go back. And it was weird.
Yeah.
You'd see it and go, wait, what? Like it caused you to actually notice it. She does this thing where she'll stand back. She does a thing with her hand, and then it'll cut, and she leaps in the background, and instead of leaps forward, she like leaps in a reverse C. So it looks like she's like bent backwards, and she'll be like, yeah. And then she does her costume, and her costumes are, whether it be
on
anime,
point.
they're on point. Like she'll be like Charles Dickens today. So I'm going to do, like Scrooge or something like that. You'd be like, dude, she did DeVille, the chick from 101 Dalmatians, I believe, the evil lady who killed all the Dalmatians to wear their coat. She dressed up like her. Just really odd, eclectic things. But what happens is I watch one, then you switch to another, and then you go to another. And I've caught myself on YouTube Shorts doing it. And by the way, most of them are AI. Many are just flatly wrong. Like, that's the other thing. Disinformation on YouTube Shorts is insane. As somebody who does follow history, military, whatever, they'll be like, Cruella, thank you. They'll say something like, they'll be like, in World War II, we didn't drop 2 bombs. We dropped that 3rd bomb, and they pretend it's real. And you'll be like, what? What are they talking about? They're just making shit up. It's really sort of gross when you see that. I think
it's getting pretty scary now.
Yeah.
You have to question really everything you see in a short.
I do like the double slot though video, which sounds dumb. I don't know if you've seen it. It's where they do what they're talking about on top, and they have a completely separate, unconnected in all ways video on the bottom.
Yeah.
That was done so that if a person doesn't like what they're watching, they may like Roblox. And dude, that's fascinating. I would have never.
That just may keep your attention.
It may keep your
while
attention.
you listen
to
the
completely separate. Like they'll have the car game from Ubisoft, the one where you're doing all the weird time trials in it. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but
Hearthstone. No,
and then they'll have Joe Rogan on the top. And you're just like, what is going on? There was a name for it that I found a couple months ago. Very smart. I may start doing it. It's an incredibly intelligent way of doing it because the people are listening. They just don't care about what they're seeing on that. So you throw something that's unrelated, and maybe they like a guy chopping wood. It's just like, damn, that's a super intelligent. I mean, it works.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
I guess it's similar to if you do a video talking about a topic, and then you have gameplay from an unrelated game going on screen while you talk about it.
Yeah. I legit thought the dev car crash was AI. Gotcha. I knew it wasn't AI, but I definitely thought about it for a second when I saw it, for sure, because it popped up quickly, and normally YouTube, TMZ, they'll show some stuff, but it'll be pixelated. And this was the full crash. So I think I could see a lot of people wondering. What else we got for game news?
So you had a couple things too. One talking about how the Indie Game Awards retracted Expedition 33.
Oh, right, because the
their
AI.
prize due to using generative AI in their development.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
Right. Dude, the discussion about
what do you
AI
make
is
of
so
that?
weird. Well, I mean, they stated none was used, and then it was, and then they're like, and they signed off, I guess, on documents that none was used, but not only was it used, some got in the end result games, so they got, taken out of that award. I guess it also shows that we need to better define AI in all ways.
What is a good use of it?
Well, no.
In making
I mean, we need, if we're going to hold this line that there's no AI, we need to understand what AI may be in that people don't even think of. For example, they asked a developer what he thought of expedition. And he was like, well, you shouldn't use AI. And then proceeded for the next 7 pages of the interview to talk about how he used ChatGPT to fix multiple things in his game. And you're like, okay. So it's obvious, even from the experts, that they don't track everything as AI. Grammarly, which is your note-taking software, AI is built in. You have to literally find a way to turn it off. And it's not built in to ruin anything. It's built into, like, it does better spell check. Like, how many times have you got any note-taking device? Meticulous, by the way, is a great word for testing a spell check. You'll put in meticulous and you'll say suggestions because it'll show red underline and it'll be like majesty. And you're like, dude, they're not even, they start with an M. Why? Why would you ever suggest that word as a replacement for meticulous? It doesn't even make sense. So they use AI, and now you do get meticulous showing up. Is that AI if you use it to fix narrative in your game where you're trying to come up with different synonyms? You're trying to come up with different nouns for something. You want to change it up so a person doesn't say the goal of this quest is to get the goal, which sounds goofy, right? You're using goal twice, and they're both non-descriptors. They're not describing the thing. So that in and of itself is one small aspect, and the discussion around AI is broken. It's broken because even the people who are saying they're not using it are using it. And I can say this level's acceptable. This level is not, or what I don't want to see in the future. But if we're going to say you need a tag on Steam or Xbox or Sony, I don't think it's fair at all to say some is acceptable and some isn't, because what if a game speaks, or what if a game fits within a genre where a ton of AI can be used and people are fine with that? For example, grammar, translation. Let's say you get a new vampire novella game, you know, like Reg plays. Reg likes his visual novels. If we say suddenly AI is okay to be used to fix all that, then that person can take advantage of this leeway people give because they're not talking about AI correctly. It's a very difficult situation to be in. And I don't know a way around it, because some people are totally fine with it. Some people are totally not. It's one of the,
also, it's hard to police at the individual level.
Very
How
hard.
can you control that, you know, Joseph in your company
didn't use it,
maybe ran some ideas through AI, you know, or like he got some inspiration from it? Is that bad? Is that acceptable? All of these things just haven't been defined yet.
Yeah, it's weird. I saw a really cool study that showed AI playing a video game, and I'm like, well, here we go. If you know, we have people copying me, if they get a hold of that and they already have my voice, then they could basically just be like, here's a full review and show footage, which you normally can't do. But you got an AI playing the game now. So yeah, it's definitely, it's well beyond my station. What I'm going to do is just, is the game good? And then during the podcast, we'll talk about like the idiosyncrasies. But if you
does
put
it
a line
matter
in the
to
sand,
you?
I think a line in the sand should stop everything. I really do. If you want to put, I'm not saying to I'm not fighting for a line in the sand. I just think if you want to put a line in the sand, people will figure out a way. If you let some in, a smart person is going to figure out a way around that, and
you'll work around that.
Yeah, work around it. What were you saying? I'm sorry.
So you can get the certification or the badge, you know. Well, I was going to say, does it matter to you personally that a game is made by people? So if in the future AI can create amazing games and what matters is the end product, would you still be on board, you know, reviewing these games if they are
I don't see,
maybe not entirely made?
I don't see AI making games in any way.
No, I don't
This
think
is
so.
what I do aside from video games, is looking into AI in the future, not even inside games, but outside of games, just trying to track where it is. I'm super excited about the technologies that aren't even just AI, but for video games, but are something like cancer. I'm much more into the research side. Like, can you identify cancers? Can you track possibilities of fixing Alzheimer's? And I'm going to be honest, I'm going to always head towards health and safety and like lifestyle stuff where you can go, you know what, we found out microplastics are why there's less population growth, whatever, just these random things where humans have a hard time parsing all this and something can help. I don't see it happening, dude. I don't see a game. What I do see is a company could use the assets on the Unreal store or assets, and then use AI to write the code. So you look at the game, right? And the game looks pretty good because it's assets, maybe some real assets, whatever. And you look at it and you're like, okay, well, that's a full game. But I don't see AI understanding, because humans don't understand this. So I don't know why AI would, but I don't see a AI understanding why forging in this video game needs to not go super deep. It needs to go at a very discrete level of deepness so that the person feels like it's a respectful, cool, fun to dive into, but not to why is this so detailed kind of mechanism. I don't see AI being able to figure that out. If they're going to be using it to help them grow that's one thing, but I don't see typing into a thing saying make GTA happening in years, because the amount of shit that goes on in that game.
Yeah.
You could make a it would be like Chinese knockoffs. It might look like Nike, but it doesn't have the durability, the smell, the maybe the measurements are off. It's going to take a while for that kind of stuff to really get to that point. And I think by the time we get to the point where that's happened, many people will be used to it and we will just have to eat it. The other thing is we are talking Western, because if you were talking about any other development group outside of America and some places in Europe, AI is not only used, it's used at an incredible amount. So if we put a line in the sand, we will be behind. We just will, because even if they're using it for small things, and we'll have to figure that out. Very difficult for people to, it's a difficult situation. A1 Nangle, $10 super chat. Seasons, greetings. 2025 was a great year for pods, Discord, and vids. Y'all kill it. And 2026 looks exciting. Yeah, you guys will see more previews from me. I've got Exodus. I've got Expanse, Crimson Desert, almost called it Black Desert, 007, and 3 others. I'm trying to figure out the release schedule, though. I don't know if people watch videos in the New Year's, so I'm trying to figure it out. Then you got to release one near or somewhat near your patrons' refresh time, because if you don't, people leave because they're like, I haven't seen anything in 2 weeks. And you're like, you saw 6 videos this month, but since none came right when you were charged your $5, you're leaving. And they'll come back a lot of times, but you're like, damn, dude, I got to figure this out. So yeah, I'm going to try to hedge that correctly. But yeah, thank you very much for the super chat. That helps the channel big time. Weather detection would be great use of AI. Hell yeah. Dude, weather is chaotic, though. I don't think we're ever going to get there. Do you know what it seems like works better, Johnny? Not weather detection. It works better to look at the large-scale changes. Like, is the, I don't know if you've heard this, but they're very nervous that some of the currents within the ocean are going to shut down because of the weather changes. And if they do stop moving, then you have dead zones. You change entire, the temperatures in different places. Seems like AI, that kind of database stuff, that shit's great. Even to just give us an idea of what to look for. Weather, dude, I swear to God, there'll be like 10 days from now, it's going to be rainy, and I don't think that's ever been right. And I live in the Pacific Northwest, which is like the Amazon rainforest of the United States. And it's still wrong half the time. It'll be like 90 degrees that day, and you look back and you're like, they said it was going to rain and be like 60-mile-an-hour winds. Like, who the fuck? It's just
I
too
think
chaotic.
that stuff is too chaotic. It's almost like the 3-body problem we talked about, where it's just like built into the thing that you can't fully predict it. Right. But I still think that some of these things, like making games, not the entire pipeline, but parts of it, will become just like chess is now, which is
interesting.
Humans can't win at chess anymore. And that won't change. It's not like,
it won't get
Magnus
worse.
Carlsen has a chance of becoming better.
True? I thought the Grandmasters the last couple times have won and lost, but I thought the Grandmasters still have a winning.
No.
Oh, really?
No, it's Yeah, we're
it must have
cooked.
changed this year, because last year Magnus on Lex's podcast was saying that they were still ahead.
Well, it depends on the AI. They play against stockfish, and they do win on certain levels. And so there are different things like that. And
Yeah,
then
that
there
makes
is
sense.
AI driven, but it's basically at the point where
Well, can think
we'll
1,000,
never win at chess.
100
Or
moves
you could
ahead.
pick a different game. Like Go was also viewed as an art that, like, humans will always have the edge there. And then I think you had the OpenAI.
The OpenAI do the crazy thing where they found out it wasn't trying to win. Or its version of winning was distinctly different than the humans. So the steps it took, the human was like,
"Yep,
what the fuck are you doing?" And it won every time. They were like, "Oh my god!" It completely found a different reason to win, or what its idea was different. Yeah. Do you know what's funny to me is I can't beat the highest level on my Android devices chess. And I play chess a lot, not a lot, but a lot. But once you get, let's say it's got a 1 to 10 scale, as long as it's metered right, I would say by 6, I start taking longer. 7, I start losing more and more. 8 or 9, I win barely. 10, I've never won. I don't think I've ever won a game on 10. Not even,
I think it's
close.
A hard cutoff where,
dude, chess AI or chess games, they're great. They're really great because it's one of the few things in the world that you can just turn on and play chess and go there's somebody better than me everywhere.
Yep.
So it's not like fighting where it's like, here's a small UFC. John Jones is at this time, whatever the time may be, is the best fighter here in this weight class. It's like with chess.
Yeah.
Dude, Magnuson, obviously, let's be real, is like a step above most of the time. But you still see him lose too. So, it does happen. Yeah, it's crazy. What else? Well, chess AI is not the same as LLM. Yes, exactly. That's what's crazy.
Exactly. So there are different types.
Well, they were different types, but now with the new test type LLMs and auto round LLMs, they're playing chess. That's what you're going to start seeing. Yeah. What else we got?
Well, you had this article about the next Just Cause dev, Samsung Ames.
Yeah, so Samsung.
Yeah.
Sorry, and I always get very close to calling it Samsung, but Samsung.
Yeah, me too.
Is some Mad Max devs, which I wasn't aware of. So it's some Mad Max, not all of them, but a couple Mad Max. And they were saying that that's their plan, is to make it feel like Mad Max in your sort of 1970s, Bullet or any of the other movies of that sort of genre and style, the revenge game, and a little bit of Max Payne, right? So called it Mad Max Payne, I guess, or something along those lines, which I'm pretty excited. The moment I saw that game, I was like, whether we want to say it or not, Yakuza, which I love, is a Japanese mafia. Yakuza, it fits very well, but they are reusing a lot of assets, and I'm feeling the long in the tooth kind of feel. If somebody can nail a Western version or a London version, then I'll be all the more excited for it, to show us a different location. By the way, did you also see that the GTA developers were saying that they almost did GTA Tokyo? There was like 3 other places for GTA, and they almost did it. And then they basically stated, works best in the West right now. We need to just embrace it. This is where it works. We're going to move forward with this. But they do look at these other, and Tokyo would be, I don't even know what Tokyo would be. That would be really exciting to see. I don't know what it would be, but
would
London
be really different.
I mean, they did, what'd they do for GTA London? There was the game years ago that, wasn't there a GTA London on the PSP or the Game Boy? Wasn't there a GTA London? It might have been back in the top-down days. I feel like there was a one that was located in London. Yeah.
Yeah, but Samsung had a teaser, a short teaser on
You're 900?
Twitter.
I think I'm 900 on chess.
Yeah.
Only recently, though. It's taken a while.
The game is hard, man.
Oh, yeah.
You can play for years. And
and your brain may just never be good at certain players too.
Yeah.
I've also noticed that some players I'll play and I'll be like, well, what the hell is going on right now? Like, why? Like, he can't beat the people I'm beating, but he beats me every time. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, how is that possible? Samsung was recently confirmed to be priced at 25. You know what's interesting about the 25, guys, for a game is that they announced it so soon.
It
What
is
a
interesting.
very interesting step, man. They announced that game and then announced the price. Like, I mean, maybe it was the idea of alerting people to its quality, I guess. I don't know. What I saw looked fun. But, dude, that was way early. Most companies don't even talk about, the price of a game.
I think the only reason we've heard about it recently is because of the discussion about raising the price with
games?
The Nintendo games and stuff, and that's why they've kind of gone into to say, listen, this is still going to be $70 or whatever the full price is for your region.
Dude, it's so crazy though. 25 is like, that's not even a number you ever really hear. You certainly don't see it on console games very often. You see 40, no. $39.99, 59, 69, 9, 19.
Yeah.
But when was the last time you saw it? I mean, it does. I'm not saying it hasn't happened. I just feel like that is an odd number. And
we don't know enough about the game. It doesn't have to be like an open world game.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could be a small affair, Yeah.
Dude,
so that would make sense.
What if they were like 8 hours, right? And each mission's an hour.
Just tight.
Or where it's just tight. Yeah. And it's like 8 hours of his life. Like, you've got 8 hours to do this or something like that. That could work. BT Maverick, $5 super chat. Are you guys excited for any potential CES announcements? I want to get a new handheld PC, and hopefully we'll see MSI Claw with that Panther Lake. So CES is a little different, so that people know that's more your consumer electronics show kind of, I guess you would say, super high-tech stuff. You'll see like transparent displays. You'll see stuff that never comes out, but you also see some new
AI plants. Like we talked about like
the AI planter
last time.
Yeah, where it like timed a plant. And I'm like, dude, I could time a planter. I don't need AI for that. That's the AI for everything. New handheld. Listen. Unless something changes with RAM, handhelds were super expensive already. Here's what I would want somebody to do. Yes, I am excited, and here's why. There is a rumor that the G Cloud is getting a successor. The G Cloud is an Android behind the scenes streaming. Pretty much 95% of your games will be streaming from your local Xbox or PlayStation, from Moonlight, Sunshine on your PC, or GeForce or Xbox. It is a wicked good system. That would not cost a bunch. But if we're talking about Panther Lake, we're talking about AMD APUs, and you're talking about, I don't care if you're a Linux fan and you think that's the greatest thing in the world, it still needs some RAM. Like, they still need more and more RAM. The games need more RAM. That is difficult to pull off without it costing a fuck ton.
Yeah.
Dude, it's insane. That's why I was telling people, if you want to get some, get a mini PC right now, because they still haven't risen prices. I just saw one with one of the top end mobile chips. It renders 4K video for Premiere. I've used it. I use it as a desktop now 99% of my time. And Oculink or PCIe, many of them now have PCIe slots on the bottom, so you can actually hook a video card up to it and get 0 drop in frame rate. So USB is about 70% your FPS. Oculink is 80. It goes up and down. It depends, but Oculink is probably 80 to 90, maybe a little less, maybe 80, 85%. It's more certainly than USB. But now B-Link and a couple others are just doing PCIe slots, or they take the M2 adapter. I don't know if you've ever used one of these, but an M2 adapter is one of the best things in the world. Basically, instead of putting an SSD in it, you put anything you want. PCI, SATA ports. There's a shit ton of adapters. Plug that in, you connect your video card. You now have a system that's got 32 or 64 gigs of RAM, an APU and a GPU, and a PC in a small form factor. Those will go up too. It's going to be expensive, man. Man, it's going to be expensive. Dude.
I mean, one thing that I get excited about are new PC cases, because every now and then you see like a really cool new concept for a case.
Yeah, that's true.
And that is something that I do enjoy, like taking my existing components and just like, clean everything up, rebuild it into a new case.
I've gone the 3D
Sometimes.
route, the 3D printing route for cases now. So the mini PC, the Legion, they're in cases that look like a Series S and a Series X, respectively. But I saw a guy do a pyramid. Saw a guy do a hexagon, deca
Yeah.
decahedron. I saw somebody do a globe. Somebody put one in a Amazon device that I've got down here, speaker. They put it inside.
Oh,
that was fucking wicked, by the way.
crazy.
It's a little bigger than this device, but I was still quite entranced by how they got it in there. You know, the DIY guy you and I watch, who like builds random shit. They 3D printing.
Invisible PC
Dude,
build.
invisible PC. 3D printing is absolutely nailing it for everything. I have 3D printed joystick mounts. My mouse and keyboard are now like 9 inches farther out from my screen, and I can fold them down. That's all 3D printed. Airsoft 3D printed. Stands for Xboxes, stands for controllers are 3D printed. Cases, I love the idea of a case, because a 3D printing case, Johnny, the ones I saw are modular now. So listen to this. It's a skeleton, and then you literally will be like, I need 7 SSD slots. And you just get 7 that snap in. Boom, 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 boom. Then you're like, I don't want to do the triple fan at the top. I want to do it in the back. And because of the way it's done, you can mount the motherboard like this. You can mount it up. You can mount it, well, you wouldn't want to do it down. You can mount it front side so that you can get to your controller buttons or to your USBs easier. 3D printing is the future for that shit. I mean, and also small form factor motherboards are becoming crazy. 64 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of RAM on a small form factor with full PCIe slots. And you're just like, damn, that's
that. Yeah, that used to be the problem, right? That you didn't have the PCIe.
Yeah, it's great. I want to get a Legion 2 Go, a Legion Go 2, LOL, but it's always the new handheld around the corner. You know, I can tell you this. I have a Legion, and I've tested the Legion Go. I've tested pretty much every handheld. Claw, some that aren't out yet, some proprietary ones, and I can tell you I still stick with the Legion. Right now, we're just at that time when, and many people are sticking with Steam Deck. So, you know, it's you know, if you want the best thing in a handheld, maybe you should get a PC and stream to your handheld, you know, because like if you have a big API or APU in your handheld, is that going in your pocket anyway? You know, why? Or make sure when you have a handheld, get a dock, because those are the magic sauce. When you get a dock, it takes one USB-C out of your 4 or 3 that you have on that handheld, and now you've got external hard drives. You've got your, you know, your network cable out the back, and it doesn't like fuck up your handheld, which is pretty nice too. Very cool stuff.
Yeah.
All 3D printed, man. I have a 3D printed mount on the back of my TV for the B-Link, and you just slide it in, and no one can tell. Dude, Abmoodski was walking around with a portable monitor run by USB-C out of a mini PC. So he would just bring a PC monitor to his friend's house to play games, because on the back was the mini PC that was like locked in.
That's wild.
And it runs off the B-Link for the power of the monitor. So he plugs in one power plug, boom, you've got a PC. That's nuts.
That's cool.
Yeah. 3D printing's the future. Like, ignore AI for a second, dude. I think 3D printing is the future. I've printed stuff for my car. Now, obviously not brake pads. I'm not a fucking idiot. But I've 3D printed stuff for inside the car. Like, you can get ones that help fix the USB. I don't know about you, but you don't drive. In my car, you have USB slots, right? But they usually require a pretty big wire to connect to your cell phone. Bunch of people measured out certain cars, and they built like stacks so you can put you can slide your cell phone in, and it connects to a small connector instead of a big fucking wire. And now you can run your cell phone running your audio on inside your car, and it looks nice. You know, dude, 3D printing's the shit, man. It's awesome. I love it. I'm excited, as you can tell. We're clearly in the future. 3D printing, AI, Corpus, not even pretending to anymore. Buy used Series S and stream, cheapest version ever. Yeah, that is true. People do not realize that a Series S, I mean, I get why people don't like them, but it is a full-fledged console that you can play all their games on, but then you can also stream to it.
Yeah.
And the number of people in our Discord who have Series S is definitely pretty fucking high and seem very happy with it. So
Didn't you say the streaming didn't work very well for Xbox?
no, it works fine for Xbox. Xbox Live or their streaming has had 3 major improvements this year. Bitrate,
Okay.
not so much, but they've done a sort of their own mini codec updates that improved latency. And I got to admit, much more playable than it was prior. Is it GeForce Now? No, because they also don't have as many server rooms. GeForce Now is pretty much everywhere. Like I even have one in my town now, just sprouted up. Probably small, but it's it allows for the couple people here. You know, by the way, do you know the other cool thing? You don't have to build a data center for this shit. You quite literally rent one and then just put your mini cloud whatever in there. And so you can claim you have a data center everywhere, but it's not really your own data center as much as it is there's some space and you're renting it and sharing some of the profits with whoever you're renting it from. And it allows for you to have a 4090 or a couple hundred in every town. You just, you know, you rent space, which is smart.
Yeah.
It's a good way to do it. I remote play all the time. Yeah, me too. I have a Steam Deck OLED and take it with me to work all the time. Love it. But I want that native Game Pass option. You take a Steam Deck to work and play it. I don't even know what that would be like, the idea of taking a game system to work if I'm not working.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Well, I guess
that was
your
my
lunch
prior
break,
jobs.
you know? Pull it out.
I mean,
lunch break.
Yeah, true. My lunch breaks are 30 minutes. What were yours? I've never had longer than a 30-minute lunch break.
1 hour.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm pretty lucky.
Well, we got out 30 minutes earlier too. It was that you worked 7.5, got a 30-minute.
All right. Yeah, that makes
sense. You could work 8 and get an hour or 9. I can't remember what it was, but 30.
Yeah.
I like the short lunch break. I like to get it done. Take a meal, talk to some people.
Just like chop, chop,
Yeah.
boom.
Yeah. Because
Eat
to
this
me,
thing and keep
shorter
going.
amount of time at work, even if I love working and I'm contained doing it, is better than a longer lunch break because this is going to sound weird. I know I have to go back to work. So I'd rather just fucking do it.
Okay.
So
yeah, I
at
respect
about 30
it.
minutes of my lunchtime, I'm like, dude, let's just fucking go back to work so we can just get out of here. Versus like, well, I got in an hour is like, do you go home? Do you not go home? Especially in America where you can go home if you live locally. There'd be times where I'm like, well, I can go home. That's 15 minutes and be comfortable and do whatever. Or, you know, at some, and then you're like, well, that's 15 minutes I'm wasting driving. So, yeah.
Okay, I
don't know.
see. Yeah.
You
a
go
little
in-
bit of a conundrum.
Do you go in occasionally to your job?
No,
who
not really.
drives to their
I just
job?
work from
Anybody
home.
in here? You just work from home, huh? So you don't? Do you have a once a month where you have to go in?
No, not really. If there's something special where like maybe the CEO's coming over, I might go, but it's very rare.
Like once
Like in the
every 6
last
months?
years, dude, once every 2 years or something.
Vapor Blood says, eat, take a dump, chat with friends all at once, preferably. Yeah, I agree.
Damn.
Maybe not the pooping. I don't want to see anybody
See,
else's
I don't like
steam.
to sit in the pooper that long, man.
No, me
You know,
either.
I'm just gonna get
Pooper's for one
hemorrhoids or
thing.
something.
Poopers for one
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Pooping. I don't need.
I
to
go
talk
there,
to
I
you.
focus.
Right.
I'm,
Are you playing chess, Johnny? Sorta. Sorta.
yeah.
I'm king in my pawn right now. Could you just give me a second? I've never had a job where I worked remotely all the time. You know, you could have like 1 or 2 days. But I'm a social. I liked I admit.
I mean, it's mostly
sitting
because
next
of my chronic condition. It's
Oh,
like
gotcha.
the walking sucks.
Yeah.
So like for me to go in with
Sort of a
especially
bitch.
like public transport would be a bitch.
What if we 3D print
because-
a fucking electro scooter just for Johnny?
Well, the thing is, because I did have a driving license, but here, like in London, cars
Ugh,
is not
yeah.
really a great option because
Yeah.
you know going into the center with your car sucks. So if I lived more in the like outskirts and
Maybe so.
my office wasn't in the center, that could be an option. But yeah, no, not worth it.
Snake X2X. I'm a mailman. 30-minute break inside my truck. So we were laughing about my dog Ming, the one I used to yell at all the time. He's passed away, but that guy would always leap in to the fucking truck and sit in the driver's seat every time. So the driver would get out to deliver something, and I would accidentally have the door open, and I'd be like, "Where'd Ming go? Where'd Ming go?" And I'd go out, and he's just in the truck. He's like, "Dude, where are we going?" I'm be like, "That's not
Instantly
even your truck."
in the truck.
Yeah. That fucking, yeah. Mailman had come around. I remember UPS delivery driver one day gets out, he delivers, he comes around, he sees my dog, and he panicked a little bit. I would too. You have no clue. Small dog.
Because he was a big dog.
He's 60 pounds, so he's not huge, and he was sort of rangy. But he loved to drive, so he would not bark when he drove. He wouldn't alert at all towards people when he was in a car, which is great. So there was no protectionist thing that he did in cars for some weird reason. But he would just look at the driver like, "Are you not going to drive me around? Like, bitch, what are you waiting around for?" He'd just look at him, and the driver would be like,
chop, chop.
"Can you call your dog?" I'd be like, "Yes, man, come to me. Get out of there." Yeah, Ming, sad face. Yeah, that guy was, he was a fantastic fucking psycho. He was, you hear people talk about psycho dogs, and I'll go over to their houses and I'll be like, "The dog's pretty normal." I don't know what was going on with Ming, but if you had told me he was a genetic anomaly that somehow he had human intelligence, I would believe you. Because that dude was straight up opening doors. He would open wrappers before eating food he stole. He was like, that guy was, I still wonder if like
conniving.
He was, dude, the shit he would pull, you'd watch him and you'd be like, that fucker's, he is like working it out. He is how
the lights are on in there.
And, it might be a dim light, but it's on. You know how, what is it? Neil deGrasse Tyson says that like if trying to understand the universe might be the difference between us and monkeys, where monkeys are really close to us, but we'll just never get it. That dog was really close to human. I was like, one or two more babies, if we had been able to breed him. Do what they did in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Made lunch even more and more crazy each day. Yeah, dude, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's great. What else do we got for news? So Samsung, not Samsung. $25 coming out next year, maybe. What else we got?
Yep. Well, I had some thoughts about your audio interview, if you want to talk about it.
Oh, with
the game audio interview you did with Alexa. I thought it was really interesting. I listened to the whole thing. And
Alexa, turn off. Knew that was going to happen.
Okay.
Anyway.
Anyway, I had a lot of thoughts listening to that, and I thought I'd run a few things by you. So one really interesting concept that you guys talked about was the cutting out stuff in that case, from music.
Yeah.
And then that resulting in the feeling of more instead of less, which is interesting because people think that to create this wall of sound, it's all about, just throw the kitchen sink at it and, throw the spaghetti on the wall. But actually, it's a lot about cutting stuff out and opening space for certain things. So you don't have overlap, because the overlap produces like a muddy sound in that range, right? So if you have like two instruments sounding in the same specific range, it's like you can't really tell them apart, and it actually diminishes the feeling of this wall of sound. So that, did I lose you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we just froze. I can.
Okay. What I think happened, there it goes. My phone picked up me talking, and I think the assistant turned on for a second.
Okay.
Dude, first of all, I would not say this unless it was true because he's not here to hear it. Elijah Chuck is one of the most realist people I've ever met and self-sacrificing people I've ever met. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to have him on. I know the video wasn't going to do well. We talked about it. I was like, listen, I'll just take the hit. Wasn't blaming him. I was like, we're getting back onto this. We don't really do it, but I want to have you on because two things. One, he's eclectic. I know he probably doesn't like the term. In fact, I noticed when I said it, a little bit of a head cock when I said it, but he is. When I listen to Austin Wintory or I listen to all these guys, they definitely mess around. But if you go and look at his stuff, that guy will have a polka, hard rock, thrash, rap song. Then you'll have a Christmas song with kazoos. And then he'll do Dead Rising. And then he'll do Horizon. Forbidden West or Scorching Sands, whatever the sequel was. Then he'll do Outer Worlds, and they will all not sound like him. But they're him because of how eclectic they are. That's his. We probably don't agree on this, but I feel that that's his shtick, is that he's that good.
Mm-hmm.
His music taste is so wide that it encompasses a good 90 genres I hate. But it doesn't matter because I listen to his stuff and you can hear the mastery in that guy's and the fun. That dude is straight a fun freak. He doesn't look like it. If you look at him, he looks like a middle manager at a Best Buy. You know, he's very clean cut.
Yeah,
dresses
serious
nice.
Professional.
He's not leaning back. He's very professional. His wording, all that kind of stuff. But if you listen to him talk and talking about removing stuff from whatever, his level of desire to have fun in whatever he's doing is fucking unprecedented. It's weird.
Yeah.
Because you just talk to him and he's like, well, I just had the orchestra come in and I decided, let's play your instruments as kazoos. I'm going to give you all kazoos. And you're like, what? What does that even, what?
Yeah.
Like,
where does that even come from?
Where does that even come from? His desire, and he talked about it in the radio stations, because they did a lot of cutting in the radio station songs where they had to make sure that you could hear the words and that they were catchy. And he's got some that are amazing, by the way. But he just writes shit in the most fun way. He said it in that podcast. He's like, why do it at all if you're not just laughing? And he's very comedic. He doesn't drop jokes. What I mean is he probably doesn't even need to watch humor. There's something very, the old term, gay, the gayness, the like, you know, the old term for gay, which just meant like really almost flamboyantly happy and finding cheerful, fun and fullness in something.
Yeah, like joyful.
It's actually difficult until you talk to him, and then he brings it up. It's not a front. That is that guy from start to finish. He fucking loves, and he finds fun in it. It's not just passion. It's actually like fun, which it was cool to talk to him first because the business can grind you down. I mean, even Interleave, the company he does, he's like, well, they started at 0. They went to 20. Now they're at like 38 employees, I think. What doesn't seem fun to me is what he finds fun. He goes in and helps other composers. That seems very difficult. In fact, I didn't know it was done that often. I thought that would be, how the fuck could that be fun?
Yeah, inserting yourself into someone else's project.
So what he does is he goes in and meets with them, and they just sit down and talk about shit. And every single time, every other composer who really it's their stuff at first is like, dude, we definitely want him. That speaks really highly of him.
Yeah.
To where other composers, because let's be honest, it's yours. You know, you're doing it. You know, you don't necessarily want 10 composer names on a game. Maybe if you feel it's your baby. Every single time, everybody I've talked to says the exact same thing, that they'll just come in and they'll be like, well, let's jive first. Let's just vibe for a little bit and verify everybody's going to agree on how we do things. And every job he has ended up taking 5, 10, 15 like times more than they hired him for. If you listen to that closely, he'll be like, they hired me for this, and then we did this, and then the other guy left, so now we do it all. And you're like, what the fuck, man?
They ended up wanting, way more.
Yeah. And him. They want way more from him. Dude, That's Interleave is a great company for that, because I just didn't know it was done. I thought maybe Borderlands, they were doing composing, but he corrected me on that. They did the audio work, and that's another thing they're starting to do. They want to do games. But did you hear what he said? He said, I like music, so my game, there would be some music situations in my game. And I was sitting going, Rock Band, Mastersmith, Guitarsmith, all those, they're very hedgy. They're very segmented. I don't know dude, I could see him figuring out a way to say, you don't need an instrument for our video game. Grab a box and you know, like put the mic towards your box, like your cardboard box. You're going to play the drums or what, you know, I don't know what he's going to do, but I'm excited. I'm actually more excited for what he talked about than I think almost any game that's coming out, because he was just like, yeah, if we're going to do a game, it's going to be audio centric. And I sort of got the idea of like, oh, as experimental as he is, it could be Kazoo Smith or something. You know, you have no clue what that guy's going to do. Yeah, he was great. And the negative stuff you and I have talked about, where you mix and you grab the guitar and you crank it and the song sounds dramatically different than if you were to grab the bass and put that up and put the guitar down. And he right away talked about multiple tracks where that's exactly what they did, where they're like, oh, we need it to be crystalline. We need it to be like icy, which is weird because I know what I feel. I don't know the exact terms sometimes. And so when I said icy, he knew exactly. Like that's why it was fun to let him just talk, because I mentioned one thing and then he just went off and I was like, that dude knows his shit, man. You know what I forgot to ask him? His education in music. It wasn't Juilliard. I don't remember what college he went to.
He must be classically trained somewhere.
Yeah, and he's just like Ron Jenkins. Ron Jenkins always tells people are like, oh, you got so much talent. He's like, sure, the talent to work fucking hard, because I couldn't. He shows his first stuff. He can't play the keyboard. Same thing with Elijah. He definitely practices all the time. At the very end, we asked about it, and he's always like, it may not be practice to you and I, but he's always experimenting, which I think for a master is practice. Is experimentation. It passes you and I. Definitely. Well, maybe not you with a guitar. You might be at the level to where you're more experimenting. But for me, if I was going to grab a guitar, I would have to practice to get better.
Repetitions.
He experiments to get better. And that's the sign of, to me, a true master at something. He really is. I mean, dude, I feel really proud that I got him and Austin to meet, because they both came on this podcast and then they started to become friends. They got to meet up, and
they're so high technically that they no longer need to be distracted by the technical aspect, and they can explore in this higher, you know, where they're just really free to explore stuff because they have all this foundation.
He is
built,
genuinely one of the best guys I've met, and one of the fucking nicest dudes in the world. Like, I will reach out to people for Christmas or randomly, like if I don't see somebody in Discord, I'll be like, hey man, you're still a member, you know, whatever, but I haven't seen you in 6 months. You doing okay? Because I do it to non-Discord members. If they've left, I'll be like, hey, you doing okay? Because there's no ill will. He's the same way with me. He'll just, and I'm going to be honest, Johnny, this is not throwing anybody under the bus. I rarely get those, but I will reach out to people on Twitter all the time that I've talked to and be like, hey man, just want to check in. Hope you're doing well. You know, if you ever need it, blah, 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 just little stuff. He does that. He will just email and be like, hey, yeah, the company's doing well. Kids are in college now. Because when we met, his kids were still 11, I think. And now they're both in college. Yeah. Fantastic guy, man. What other things did you pick up on that?
So, well, tied to the cutting stuff out to create a sense of more, I was thinking if there is a lesson there for games as well. Like, do you think that sometimes games cut down on mechanics or maybe gameplay loops and stuff to really focus on what matters? Is there like maybe too many game loops in some games where, you know, you got all this different stuff you can do? You know, you can capture monsters, you can customize your room. I'm thinking of Hogwarts. You know, there are all these things you can do. You can you know, do 20 different puzzles out in the world. Is there something about that maybe can become too much, do you think? And maybe we're better served with actually like cutting down and doing 3 things instead of 10 in some of these games, even the big games.
Yeah, I think I'm doing a documentary on AA games, and the developers I've talked to, not every developer obviously, but the developers I've talked to have all stated what we've talked about, which is that sometimes the difference between a AA game and a AAA game is the inability to completely cut something out. So what they do is they add it in at a different time, or they keep it in there a little bit. And so there's a consistent sense of discovery, even in mid or late game, where if you notice with AAA games, they have a tendency to do your discovery up front. So you can forge, okay? You can breed horses, okay? You can do everything. And the tutorial. Go to this place, tutorial. You can do this. So what happens is you get a bunch of options up front and nothing at the end other than your end game grind. What happens with a lot of AA games is they will do these mini senses of discovery, and you'll find out later it's because they didn't have a full game, so didn't have a full system. They decided to cut it, but instead of cutting it, they say if we put it at the end, it'll make a lot of sense that you don't get to dive in because you're somewhat near the end of the game. So we're going to add this sense of discovery, this little plot. You and I talked about this, I believe, but Plague Tale does this with the little base in the first game, where you're playing the game in Plague Tale, and you meet up with a bunch of people in this little castle / base just for a bit, but your brain goes, am I going to be like building out this castle right now? Like, what's going on? The game, there's a sense of discovery. You don't.
Yeah.
But what happens is, in a lot of games, they're like, here's your N+ at the end. Here's your blah, blah, blah. But with a AA game like Banishers or Vampire, they do not a better job. They have a tendency to not cut as much because cutting it all out would mean there's a big gap. So what they do is they truncate it a little bit. And they'll be like, okay, we want people to understand that there's other things they can do. They're just not as in-depth. I think that's awesome. Yeah, games could definitely do with less up front. The island in Infinite Wealth is ridiculous. It only takes a couple hours to get there, and you get there and it's a full game.
Yep.
That's separate from everything else. And you're like, even the pirate one, which I liked, there's like the pirates, the islands, some weird sailing thing you do, then the arena, and they're just and after a while you're like, I don't know what to do. And you stop in the shallow 1/4 starting of the game because that's where everything's introduced. Where with a lot of games, if they do a little bit of discovery later, and I'm sure you've played a game like this, it's hard to remember the ones, but I do think AA's do this. Well, you'll be playing and there'll just be something 3/4 of the way through, and you're like, wait, what? What is this? This is like a whole, not even a whole, but it's like this little section of something else. And that sense of discovery, you don't have to dive super deep, but you're like, there's something else I can do. That's fucking awesome. And I would say AAA's, that's one of their biggest faults, is that AAA's have a tendency to, and how many times have you heard somebody say this, Johnny? I only played the first 1/2 of the game. And you're like, why? And they're like, well, I started to get bored. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know if that's really, I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm saying, I don't know if boredom is really what happened. It's that the sense of discovery turns off. And now you're just, you're grinding the things
okay, you've
learned.
Unlocked everything. And now,
Yeah. And
it's just going down the
look
track.
at Hitman. Hitman has always been good. But once they did the open world, they did one of the smartest things in history in gaming. And I will die on this hill. Hitman allowed for alternate starting locations, and you unlock them as you go through. They added alternate leaving locations with things connected to them. So the sense of discovery is not, oh, look, this NPC takes a piss. We've seen that in games. Assassin's Creed 1 or 2 already had people peeing, or doing their little tiny jobs. What happens with Hitman is it's like, yeah, if you go in here and you start from the opposite side of the map, that is a fully fucking different game. Imagine the F1 race game. When you start at the front, you have a certain, you need to get through the metal detector. You need to go to the left to get to this big place. You need to go to the right. You start on the other side. That is a sense of discovery that is not matched in most games. And it's because I believe they're AA+. Like that game in particular, they're AA+. They left some stuff in. They understand the sense of discovery is needed by masters. You do need it. I mean, and you see it even by some of the martial artists. I'll talk to somebody I've learned 3 black belts. So you'll get somebody who's a black belt and be like, why are you still training? And 90% of the time, they're not training in their black belt art as much as they are learning a whole different one. Even if it's unusable, as in classical, and it wouldn't work. And that, to me, keeps that master alive mentally.
Yeah.
and is vital, and a lot of games don't do it. I mean,
So I think that's a really good point, which is the doling out of new mechanics.
yeah,
Is there something about, I mean, for me, like with open world games, there's a bit of fatigue with all the collectibles and
right.
stuff like that, where, even Hogwarts suffers a little bit from this, where you have these puzzles you can do in the world, and they're effectively kind of collectibles and like interaction things out in the world. I almost feel like the game would be better without those things, and your exploration was actually, much more, uh, what would you say? Maybe sedate, where you don't have as many things to interact with, but you have this feeling of a more natural landscape where you don't have a ton of stuff going on between, towns, for example.
I think that's why Skyrim was popular. Skyrim is great for open worldness, but do you know there's a
Yeah.
sense of discovery in Skyrim if you ignored, if you deleted every monster and you deleted every tunnel. One of the things they did the smartest is they put cities pretty far out. And they put these cities,
True.
you had your Whiterun,
Yeah.
which is your sort of center city, but they all have a different feel. And I didn't find one of those cities until weeks of playing that game. I think it was Solitude, where I went around a corner and was like, there's a fucking whole different city up here. Like, what are you talking about? And that kind of sense of discovery, Two Worlds did it. Not a popular game, but Two Worlds did the thing where you don't just have the starting like Hogsmeade. I agree with you on I think that Hogsmeade and Hogwarts are too close together, which sounds weird, but there's not a sense of a group of people somewhere else. It's just landscape. And how many games do we see that where it's just landscape? And maybe that first place is great. Grand Soren in Dragon's Dogma is a good example. Your major city, you don't even start there, which I think is awesome. You start in a village, you get there, and then when you travel on, you'll find some cities or what looks like a city you can't get to. There's some smaller established areas that you can get to, but there's a sense that people are out there doing things, and sometimes going all the way back to Hogwarts doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't they have a place that took you 45 minutes on your broom to get to? And if they don't, you get what we got with Hogwarts. I love Hogwarts, but Hogwarts, it doesn't necessarily need more collectibles or whatever. Maybe those were fine, but it would have been great to have some there. And there were a couple, but I mean more, because the sense of discovery doesn't have to be the same thing. It can be a sense of an NPC. How many times have you went in a good game and there's an NPC in the woods and they have a cool story and you're like, that sense of discovery is there. Then you find a cool weapon. That's discovery. Then you find a town. That's discovery. And when one of those is missing, I think open world fatigue is really easy. Do you know the sense of discovery, I think in Red Dead 2 isn't even the cities or anything? I think the sense of discovery is flatly, will Arthur die? So I believe that the number of people I know who wanted to know what was going to happen with him, drug them through other things. I'm not saying there was anything bad. I love that game. And there was your New Orleans town. I can't remember. Saint Denis.
Yeah, that was the main thread that
but the
pulled people through
pulled people through
the whole thing.
And there were these other systems. Oh, you can clean your gun. Okay, great. But you don't need to, because it just does less damage. So you're like, okay, that's in there. But they did a good job narratively with Discovery, where, and we had played one, and you know what happens to John in one. So you're like, oh, shit. And by the way, really, when that's the end of the game, or 3/4 of the way through the game before Arthur really, where you're like, uh-oh, like what's going to happen? That sense of discovery can be narrative too. And they did a great job with that. And it's something that doesn't exist in other open world games many times. LA Noire, I like a lot, but they sort of fucked up the story to where you sort of knew the ending before you got to the ending, which removes a bit of the discovery and then lets you notice how lean the city is. Because if you pockmark everything, it's a little harder to pick apart everything, because you're like, there might be something over here. There might be something over there. Yeah, some good games, man. Some of those guys do it really well.
The other thing I thought as well, he talked about adding dissonance with music, which he does by maybe using a key that's, maybe just like slightly outside of the the game sounds. So they are like similar enough that they're close, but slightly different, and that creates a little dissonance.
Yeah.
That was a really interesting thought, that you would want to create dissonance, which makes sense for a moment where you want to make the player feel unease, or maybe the discomfort, or like fear, right? This type of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I thought as well that the opposite is also true. The feeling of coming home, which is when you kind of go back to the like you go back to the root of your key. If you're playing in D, then you kind of go back full circle to the key, and it kind of like feels like, whoa, all right, I'm coming home kind of feeling. It's interesting that they do all that kind of stuff intentionally.
He's also the first composer, and I'm certain not the only one, but because he mentioned it, it shows how he thinks differently. But he was saying, I go and I check with the level designers, and we look at every audio on a map, and we decide what the key is of that map.
Yeah.
Like, what's the underground hush? And that's so important to me. And I know that it escapes, I would say whenever I mention audio, I probably get 70% of the people to drop off of the video the moment I mention audio. I don't care, because to me, it's so vital, it can't even be described. It's like, it is as vital as almost anything else. Harsh audio in a podcast, people leave. You know what I mean? Like, audio matters. And I love that he was like, yeah, let's go see. Oh, this is in, C minor or whatever. We're going to put the guns, we're going to make them sound differently. We're going to add a little bit of reverb. We're going to do these things to make them stand out so that when they happen. And then he was also talking about, he wants some places to be, there's a horror vibe here, or a sense of discovery. And he knows the key for the sense of discovery. Or he knows a chord progression that works for a sense of discovery. Post the podcast, I asked him to describe to me what patriotic music was, because every time I review a game where there's patriotic music, I sound like a fucking idiot to myself. No one else cares. It bothers me to no end, because I don't know the mechanics of patriotic sound. And funny enough, he said it was one of the most difficult ones in all of music to describe. And by the way, even his description, he's like, that wasn't a very good description. But there's something about patriotic music, the rise and how it gets there, and then how it goes right back. Yeah. But that different nations, like if you listen to the Russian, their nation's motto, you listen to ours, or nation's song, you listen to ours, it's different. You listen to Chinese, it's different. But they all have some likewise things to them. And that guy just knows his shit, man. He know, like, it's crazy. And the idea of working with others, I think I put this in the podcast, but the fact that he started out not knowing anything about games, by the time he was done with Dead Rising, they did 14 titles in Dead Rising when you include the movie. And he did a bunch of shit. And so he said, and one of the things I pointed out is that means when he goes and talks to somebody, it's not competitive. It's very much a companion when he talks to somebody, because he knows where they've been. So when he talks to somebody, he's like, it's easier for him to ingratiate himself, because he can say, I did do this. You and I are competing for resources. We have $1 to spend. We're going to have to choose between a better gun effect or a 30-second blurb of music. And he's able to describe why he wants something and understand where they're coming from when they want it, and then come to like a happy conclusion, which is awesome. And I'm going to tell you, with Outer Worlds, there was some music I didn't like because it was so eclectic that I was just like, what the fuck? But does it fit that game perfectly? Yeah. Like, you walk away from it and you're like, dude, he did it. And even talked about Justin Bell. He only talked to Justin for a small amount of time. They sat and they talked about Justin's main menu, which I think is one of the best main menu songs ever.
Great.
And so what he did was, he's like, I got to pay respects to Justin. So he merged parts of Justin's song into his main menu. But he's like, it is a different song, but he's like, I got to like take parts
recognizable
of it to be,
like
to recognize,
you can recognize the theme, just a different.
Yep. It worked well. Yeah. Great interviewee. He always.
Yeah. He's a very interesting guy. The last thing that I was thinking about is like, because he did say he considered himself talented, but obviously insane hard work, right?
Yeah.
An ethic to get to that level. So I'm always wondering, and this is also maybe a question for you, because I mean, you are, I don't know if to say talented sounds bad to you, but to say like you are good in what you do with like talking, right? Synthesizing your points on the go, jumping to stuff, and being quick on that. And then also when you talk to people, making them feel heard and that like their opinion matters and is interesting. I think those are really good skill sets. Do you think that some of those things, like whether it's the musical thing or your thing, is it developed, or are you almost like born with a mission? It's almost like you know, you have to discover your mission and then you latch onto that, or is it just that through discovery and doing the thing, you've developed this talent or passion?
I think with his hard
Like
work,
how can people find it, you know?
He worked a shit ton, and it allows for him to hit his talent faster. So he's worked, so because you'll hear me bitch about this all the time, but efficiencies matter. And he has an efficiency that is brought on by years of failure and fucking up his time schedules. He talked about this at the starting. I cut like an hour of the starting of that podcast because we were talking. It was a little dry for us to listen to, but it wasn't for me to talk to him about. And it was all about misuse of time when he was younger and learning for a long period of time how to figure out efficiencies. And I think that's generically always the answer would be, I think it's always going to be hard work. I don't think there's a talent for efficiencies. That doesn't make any sense, especially because you might go, why was I recording this way? Right?
Yeah.
Like it's a step too long. What was I thinking? You'll sit in your stew for years doing it, and then somebody will mention something in a convo, and you'll be like, of course that's faster. What the fuck? So he did a bunch of that work and got to take in a bunch of that stuff. And then he has a talent and he has a good ear for music, because that is, you know, you'll meet people who just, even at a young age, they like can sing perfect. You know, they can sing on perfect key or whatever. And you're like, okay, that's some of that's your ear. So for me, mine is just because we talked a lot about games and because I like to study games. So
I almost think of it like, you know, the chicken or egg problem, where is it because you were pretty good at it and then you did it a lot, the talking about it and explaining stuff, or the fact that you did it so much then developed into a strong skill, you know? It's like, is it a mix, I guess? Like, just came naturally, and then the more you did it, you also became better at it.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. You know, like if you were young,
when
did you pick up the guitar?
Tell, I guess.
When did you pick up the guitar?
Yeah, when I was 13.
Okay, so I was DMing when I was 9, and I was already doing martial arts when I was 4. I think mine is that
4.
I get super excited and I have a lot of energy. And so excitement is luck. In some ways, that you find something that's exciting that also is your bailiwick for life or whatever. So D&D, working hard at martial arts means doing a video is just happens to be a little bit easier, or talking a situation through. But tech stuff is very difficult, and I don't have a problem studying for something to learn it. In fact, that's the best time in my life is not doing a video. It's trying to figure out why caustics on waves look a certain way in Assassin's Creed. And then how excited I get by that. I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome. Or finding out why a AA developer does something. And what he explained to me and what it seemed like to me was that some of it was his innate talent, but a lot of it was just doing the work. And we're not to be rude, but like we talk about this all the time. You get people who want to start a channel or whatever. And I've had this. They'll pay me and to look at their channel. We look at the channel and I'm like, okay, here are openings. I'll give you things I would like to do, but I don't have time, because I have no issue with that. I'll be like, here's something that I think could do really well if you could figure out a way to do this. You know, people be like, well, that seems like a lot of work. I'll be like, but you paid me the output of your last work to tell you this. I don't understand. If you paid me,
that's wild.
And it's not a ton of money, but it's like, if you paid me $100 to look at your channel, to run metrics on it, to listen to your stuff and say, you know, and it's crazy how many people do not want to put in work. Elijah Chuck put in work. I don't know if he wanted to, but he did, and it's paying off. You don't always have to want to put in the work, but I do think, you know how it is. If you're studying a subject you don't love, it's hard to retain. So he got lucky. I think a lot of it is luck. A lot of it is luck because of what I did in the past, and it fit perfect in games. I also have a tendency to love competence porn. So the people I listen to, like an Adam Sessler, who described games, I was into that. And I was like, just like a kid studying something. I mean, I would just listen for hours going, oh, so he's describing it this way. That's cool. And then Elijah Chuck has a sense of confidence that's insane. And I do think people will think it's ego. And they'll think it's ego for me, and I certainly will have an ego. Everybody does, but a lot of it's just confidence. When somebody says, you were wrong about this, and I'm like, no, I wasn't. That's exactly what I wanted to say. It was not wrong. This is exactly what somebody wanted to say. It's exactly what Elijah Chuck wanted to put in his track. Somebody may say they don't like it. That's fine, but it's not wrong. And I do think that people get the feedback loop that's negative, and they start going, oh, and they start cracking under the pressure. And Elijah Chuck doesn't. I've never seen him crack under pressure. I feel like that guy just, I mean, the Bell's palsy story. He's like, I have Bell's palsy. He said he went to the panel. And I was like, if you look at my face, I'm like, he went and did the panel anyway? I would have been embarrassed or self-conscious. And I'm not very self-conscious, but if I had Bell's palsy, I'd be self-conscious enough to be like, I may not be able to deliver what I need to deliver.
It's funny he mentioned it as a minor inconvenience.
Dude, the guy's like, yeah, I had Bell's palsy, so I just told everybody it was bad Botox, and we did the panel anyway. And I was like, the fuck? I think that's where his sense of confidence, I'm sure he has times where he's not, but his sense of confidence and his sense of efficiencies lets him get to his talent easier and dial in to it easier. And he is truly
because there are so many great ideas or talented people who never amount to anything because they didn't put in the work, right?
Dude, work's important. That is and the number of people who I mean,
you can't shortcut your way. I mean,
you can't. I guess you could if you did like reaction.
You can streamline your path, but you know, you got to go through it.
It is very weird to me to like meet new up and comers. And I guess it's not weird because they always fail. But it is weird because the number of people I help, only 1 or 2 or 3 out of the 20 continue doing it because they start hearing like that it requires this. Or, for example, reviewers, and you'll hear somebody say, well, I only work Monday through Friday. I'm not going to review on the weekend. So therefore, the company is at fault for giving me code where the review is due on a Wednesday. And I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? That's on you. Switch your days, because they're saying they chose to do that. I'm like, if you chose to do that, you're artificially locking yourself out into an organization where we can release a title at 3 a.m. on a Saturday morning. It's just a different situation that we deal with. You know, the number of people I know who are like, they'll bitch and complain about others. And it's like, dude, that is an easy fix. It's a very easy fix. The occasional time you get a code on Friday evening and your review is on a Wednesday or a Thursday, work that weekend. You know, and if you don't, you can't blame the company. It just doesn't make any sense to blame. That is such an odd. You were given the tools to do this, and if you choose not to, all the power to you. But if you choose not to and then bitch, that is, to me, pretty bad form. Where I'm like, that seems that, you know, you had every tool in place to fix this, and if you didn't, then you didn't, and that's also
just
okay.
Own the decision. In either case.
And he's dude. That's the thing about him is I mean, I don't know, man. He's a different beast. That guy, his amount of work he put in, I think work is hugely important. Time doing the work. the amount that he's done and what he's learned from it. That's the other thing, learning from what you do. Some people can't. I know I can't. There'll be times where I told you if it's a subject matter that I can't find something to latch onto, my brain will be like, well, that's not important. Boop, boop. And I'll delete it, man. Like, it's like I'm not lying. I'll wake up and be like, did I run SSD trim on my hard drive this morning? Because I don't remember shit about last night. And then people will like remind me of the conversation. I'll find out it's about, long distance runners or something. And I wasn't able to figure out an in to where it was exciting to me. That's a bad example because I love that shit, but you know what I mean? Same thing can happen to you, right? Math class. Maybe you weren't, I still think it's vital to learn it though. That's the other thing.
Yeah, some stuff for sure, because it teaches you how to think. And even if you don't remember how to do something about calculus, you still took yourself through that puzzle, and that opened some pathways for you.
KK Blaze says, wouldn't you argue that in any discipline, there's an art part you love, but to be successful, there's a portion everyone hates: editing, storyboarding, stats, research. Yeah, but you can pay people for that. I do believe that there is pay to get away from something you dislike, which I dislike that. I don't pay editors. I edit. I paid Absy for the AI ones because I was doing other videos, and I paid Craig for 2. It was too much money. Nothing against Craig. It was just the amount it cost to edit. And I realized that it's like, I sort of like editing because it also lets me look and go, is there something I need to describe better? But yeah, I would agree. There's stuff you don't like in any, well, I love everything about martial arts, but I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's something I'd be like,
yeah, but there were parts of the process that, weren't easy. I'm sure, whether it's learning martial arts or anything.
Not liking, I think, are distinctly different things. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah. So it would still be satisfying overall.
Yeah. I think the best way to get through life without screaming too much, Johnny, is to find something you like in everything, if you can.
Because what I was thinking about,
because I always hear people bitch. Sorry, I just want to point out, have you ever heard that, I got to go talk to my family?
Yeah.
And I'm all like, not that I love doing it, because sometimes it's regurgitative. You start repeating the same story. But at the same time, there's got to be somebody there that's got a cool story. Or if you're this bothered by it, bring something that changes it, so that when you go to this family and you're doing something slightly different, so that it doesn't feel mundane. Or I'll have people say, I hate all my in-laws. And my thought is the same. You've heard me say, where somebody says, I don't worry about every other driver, or I worry about every other driver, not myself. I'm a great driver. And I'm like, you're the person who's dangerous. You are the one. You are the problem. If you sit there and go, everybody else is the problem, you're the problem. Almost all the time.
Yeah, if you're blaming everyone else.
I'm perfect
100%.
in the snow. I drive perfect in the snow, but I watch out for everybody else. I'm like, you are the person I would want to be 9 million miles from in the snow. Because even experts at martial arts, at painting, whatever, they always understand that ultimately it is them. And the people who think they're masters, it is never them. It's always somebody else. It doesn't mean that they can't bitch about stuff. I'm just saying that kind of thing. You're like, dude,
yeah, we see it in league every day. Like people who just blame the team.
Yeah.
When in reality, that's why they're stuck in their skill level, right? They're not improving because they're not questioning what they're doing. They're not self-reflecting.
Or they're trying to go from 98% to 99, which is much more difficult than from 50 to 90. Going from like efficiencies or getting better at a game, 50 to 90, that's not that hard. But it's that last percent, and then they don't want to change because they had the one success, and they're like, oh, well, I had this one success. I mean, the same thing happens in channels. Somebody be like, why'd you do the podcast or the interview? It blah, 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 it'll destroy everything. And I'm like, well, because I like it. I mean, and who knows, it might catch on and it may not. But the sense of like worry people have and then not worry is weirdly, they're like, you'll get people who don't worry about anything and they're fucking everything up, or people who worry about everything and they're not taking any chances. And they're just like, I need to do this exact thing. It's always weird. Happens in Effort Free Me, perfect username, says happens in Rocket League. KK Blaze says, not easy and not liking are different. Yeah. But for example, a shitty part of karate is not getting to settle beef till an official competition because full contact sparring isn't a regular part of practice. It is in mine. So, I don't think I've had a beef in martial arts in the 30 plus years now. I don't think I've had a beef.
I was just trying to think, what would the beef even be about? Because at the end of the day, you're just there to.
But if you have a good sensei or trainer now, because we don't use the classic terms, that trainer's probably kicking that person out. They're probably if a person hurts you. Because I was
thinking,
yeah, they're probably
if someone is just better than me. Again, I'm just thinking back to League because it's my closest comparison. If someone's just better than me, I get angry at myself because I made a mistake, or maybe I misplayed something. But I don't really get angry at the other person because they beat me. I just think, hey, they played it better. They're just a better
and that's a game with some lanes and everybody's pressing the same buttons. So it's and same thing with martial arts. You're there in your skivvies with another man sweating on each other.
Yep.
And if that other man beats you, they beat you. They beat you. And you also hear a weird thing. And I'm going to tell you, I think it's a myth. Some people I know agree. Many don't. I still think it's a myth. You'll hear people say, always train with people better than you. And I feel that is a really, really dangerous way to get yourself locked into the sense of lack of accomplishment. I don't mean you should go beat up on white belts, but what I do mean is if you don't have a variation in your training where somebody leaves a gap where they shouldn't, what will happen is it will be very difficult to look for it. And you need to see those kind of things. So we'll see mixed sparring where you have different belt levels. We don't do belts anymore, but you'll do different training levels. Somebody's been in there for 4 years. They know most of a particular set of moves. Somebody's been in there for 6. You train with the person who's been there for 10, but occasionally you do train with somebody because you also need to pass it on to those people. And if everybody's training above them, at some point, there's nobody training equal, or there's nobody who goes against somebody who's a little easier. So you can, because dude, I'll tell you, if you can't tell what the completion of a move feels like because you can never pull it off against somebody above you, you're not learning that art. You need to understand
not making progress.
You don't even know what a tap would feel like because you're getting tapped all the time. So if you don't understand that progress of like, there is a move, I can pull this off, or especially what we see is with somebody who's not great, they'll do something you don't expect. And I've only had 3 knockouts in my life. All 3 of them were people that knew very little, and they pulled a move off that I should have known could have been possible, but no person who was trained would have tried it. Now you see that more in the UFC. In the UFC, there was this excellence bell curve that sucked because nobody took chances. And then all of a sudden, you saw little chances being made. And the little changes, little things that you would never expect. You'd be like, that guy jump kicked that dude. And by the way, there's an amazing, it doesn't knock the other guy out. There's about 9 years ago, there's a fight between 2 heavyweights. And for no reason whatsoever, one of them jumps and fucking depending on the art, what it's called, but a full leaping sidekick into the other guy's face, hits him with it. Do you know why? Because nobody fucking does that. Nobody in their right mind would say 2 fresh people who are both known for strikes, you're not going to jump kick that guy. But that's exactly why you do it. And he had the balls to say, I'm going to do it because I'm pretty confident that if I miss, I'm going to be able to recover. And he ended up knocking the guy down, not out. That was awesome because it was a sense of that freshness where it wasn't 2 guys. Look at what happens with wrestling in UFC. 2 guys will get on each other and we just call it sweat fests because they're both equal. And neither will take a chance. And you're just like, great. We're going to be here for 45 minutes of 2 guys sweating on each other because neither one has taken a chance to do anything else. So let's see. The worst thing is that people are arrogant and think they can kick everyone's ass. Yeah, true. As a Muay Thai coach, I 100% agree. Spar all levels because sparring only better people because you improve slower because you won't experiment. Yeah. There's dude, when you were a kid, did you ever see the 1980s like action movies where somebody touched somebody, death touch, somebody's like, paralyzed. It's weird because the mystery of, just like we were talking about the mystery of spies for Bond has gone away. The mystery of martial arts went away for a great deal of time. To me, the mystery returns in you doing weird shit. Henderson got knocked out. A guy ran up the side, and I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, but he ran up the side of the cage and spun and kicked him and knocked him out. It was one of the greatest knockouts I've ever seen. Nobody.
Totally unexpected.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Dude, if you ran a random number generator and you said, this is the move, the guy's going to run into the cage and bounce off of it and do a perfectly, by the way, perfect kick. I mean, right out of a movie into the guy's face. It would never have popped up. You would have been like, first of all, you're running away from the guy. Then you're bouncing off the cage, which means you have to identify. Yeah. By the way, how many people bounce off cages? Very few. We train it. We're like, no, you need to know what a cage will do with your force. Bounce off the cage, punch. Bounce off the cage, kick. Bounce off the cage, go to the ground. So that you can understand, because the cage is a part of the environment. It was an amazing move, man. And it was one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life, where I was just like, what the fuck? Nobody does that. That's the magic that's in martial arts now. It's not in the Dimmock death touch. It's not in those other things. But Kill Bill's 5-point palm exploding heart technique. Dude, when I was a kid, I thought all that shit was real.
Yeah.
Boy, my sensei
me too,
corrected
man.
me quick.
I fell for it.
I was like, what if somebody death punches you? Sensei Bent was his name. And he was like, what? I was like, well, what if they run up and they do a jumping spin? Because all I watched was Kung Fu Theater. I was 5 years fucking old, man. I didn't know what was what. And he was like, I would move. And I was like, but you can't move because you got to stand there. Because everything I had seen was like Rocky, you know, where people stand there. They don't move. Or you see like a martial arts movie where everybody's doing perfect Wing Chun. And you're like, nah, dude, not the way it goes. I've seen people. Anthony Pettis. Thank you. Anthony Pettis's knockout of it was Benson Henderson, right? Benson? Benson. Yeah. It was amazing. Anyway, what else do we got? Because we could talk about that for hours.
Let's see. We do have questions in the Discord.
Let's do it.
All right, let's hit some of these. Knucklehead says, what's a decision that you made that seemed really smart or well thought out at the time, but just failed miserably? One time I was... He goes on to say, one time I was really high and tried to eat frozen pizza rolls without microwaving them. I thought that surely if I took them out of the freezer and let them sit for a couple minutes, they would be edible.
Sweet Jesus.
Don't do drugs, kids. That was a terrible idea.
That was a terrible idea. That's like, I'm surprised he's talking to us and didn't die of dysentery, man. Dude, pizza roll with salamis and cheeses, dairy, and sitting out and just getting warm. That's
just like defreezing or like defrost.
Steak, Jeremy? I just throw it on the counter till it gets to the, it cooks itself. It's like, well, okay, enjoy the worms.
Gets to ambient. Yes.
What's the? Oh man, there's so many.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean,
dude, from relationships to like relationships, definitely. I've made. And then some I don't want to talk about, which is why I'm not going to heaven.
Like,
yeah, what were you
banging
saying?
chick with pet spider. Not a good idea.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. No, it wasn't pet spiders.
That didn't happen.
It was cockroaches.
There
she
you
raised
go.
hissing cockroaches. I'm telling you.
Definitely red flag.
Red flag for me, at least. Hey, some people may... Listen, her favorite movie was The Cell with Jennifer Lopez about the serial killer. I should have known something was up.
Yeah.
I should have...
Yeah.
That was definitely a mistake. But yeah, what mistakes, dude? So many. I usually try to grab something out of a huge failure. Like, I don't mean that touchy-feely. Well, you got to learn, because I think you can learn from success. I think one of the biggest problems is all these one-liners you hear people say. Like YouTube shorts, where they'll be like, you can't, I never learned anything from my successes. I only learned from failure. And I'm like, you're a shit student. Because in the same exact YouTube short or the very next one, they'll say pattern after people who are successful. So you can't have the two, because you can pattern after somebody who's successful. And if you pattern correctly, you don't need to ingratiate yourself with the fucking specter of failure consistently. But do I have her number? Asking for a friend. Yeah, no. I believe she's married. What? Dude, how many mistakes have I made? Oh, man.
Yeah. I mean, dude, a recent one that I made.
Go for it.
Was on this phone that I bought. This is a nothing phone, Android phone. I thought, dude, I'm just gonna run it without a case because it looks great. It's sleek.
Yeah.
It's thin. I'm just loving it, loving the look without the case. Terrible idea, by the way. Like for 5 different reasons. Doesn't matter what surface you put this thing on, it will slide like a motherfucker.
I have the same exact one. Yeah.
Dude, doesn't matter what grips you think your pockets have.
Metal grease.
It's grease, dude.
Yes.
You put this in your pocket. Doesn't matter where you sit, but this thing will find a way to sneak out of your pocket.
Yep.
And I lost the phone in a Uber that I was riding. So it just fell into the Uber. And I only realized later, luckily managed to get it back, just called up the guy and stuff. But yeah, that was a hard learned lesson. Definitely put a case on these suckers. As much as it sucks to make it thicker, you need that friction.
Yeah. I understood all those one-liners. I would say for me, definitely phone stuff. I've been like, I don't need a screen protector when obviously I'm using the new tablet and discussing if I need one because the last one broke. That's how dumb I can be. This is how dumb I can be. I'll be holding the brand new tablet because the screen broke from me.
Definitely doesn't need
I will think about it. It's like that would be like suffering a horrendous series of car wrecks and always flying out of the car but not putting a seatbelt on. It's the dumbest, and I'll be holding it going, meh. And what's funny is once I put one on, it's also because I've never succeeded at putting on a screen protector accurately. I've got them close, but there's usually a hair or a fucking
there's always some small
level
bubble or whatever.
There's
God
always.
Damn it.
Just use your, but then you take it into some guy at a fucking mall with like debris and shit rolling around and he'll put it on perfect. So it's obviously a learned skill that I need to learn.
It's a skill issue.
I've broken many a tablet, and most of the time the screens are more expensive than replacing the tablet. So that has cost me a shit ton of cash. I would say when I was younger, driving too fast, I got a lot of tickets, and I would love to have that money back. That was, and then when you get older, you start realizing how dangerous it is. And this is not connected to the guy who passed away. This is legitimately something I've talked about before. You definitely start to go, oh, I ran that yellow light. That was stupid because like, what if I fucked up a family? What if I tried to, and I definitely love driving fast, but I just do it in different places to where I'm like, okay, this is, it's just me, even though I don't want to do that. Yeah, I've definitely made those. Buying myself out of issues in YouTube, definitely make that mistake. And it cost me a boatload of cash that I should never, ever have spent. Yeah, those would be the other thing is, I don't know about you. It's pretty easy to be excited about what you're excited about and put off the thing you're slightly less excited about. So in the last 20 years, I reverse that. If I find myself unexcited, I'll do it first. I've told you about this. Like if I'm going to work out, the shoes are at the foot of the bed. So I roll into the shoes because it's very easy to talk yourself out of something. And I'll always do the hardest thing first. Always. Because also my best energy is during the hard thing. And then if I get energy from the less hard thing, that's awesome. Now you've got your rebound and now you're really enjoying stuff. But I like to get the shit stuff out of the way. And it took me years to learn that. Because I definitely
I'm really trying to do that. That's tough though.
It's very tough.
Because the natural thing is to put it off. But yeah, just even small things like, hey, I know I need to take out the trash.
Oh, dude.
I'm gonna take 15 minutes and go and do it now instead of like pushing it the whole day. And now this is in the back of your mind and you feel like a piece of crap because you didn't do it.
Yep.
And now, like you said, you just end up having less energy for when you actually do it. So why not just get it out of the way?
Or you have tons of examples of the failure and you still do it. You just have you'll have tons of examples of not taking out the trash and you get ants or something. I don't know, but you know it and your brain is like, I'll get to that. And every time I've cost myself a ton of money by holding off on ordering something or getting something, I'll be like, I'll get to that. And then I have to order it with extra shipping or something. And I'll always be like, dude, here I am, the guy who like, I'm definitely if I can get something that's 80% as useful for half price, I'll do that every time. I'm not a big fan of like, oh, I need the best of the best. It doesn't, that to me, you're always paying a premium. But to get the 80%, sometimes I'll wait. And then I'll be like, oh, well, and I'll look at the difference in shipping plus item. And I'll be like, that's only like $50 less than the premier. What the fuck was I doing? You know, dude. Yeah. I think that's a problem with I think all humans have that in some part of their life somewhere. Like they may not want to admit it, but humans aren't great at the world. They're great at sections of it, but the whole world, nah. There's something that everybody sucks at. Whether it be interpersonal relationships, you know, you'll have somebody who's a billionaire who can't keep a wife or whatever because they just, you know, they can't balance or whatever. There's always something.
Yeah.
What's another question?
I think that's built in. That's hard for us to do.
Dude,
when
humans
it's
aren't that
about
good.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if I ask you for if you ask me for advice on something, I'm sure I can come up with something that's like actionable, makes sense. But then if it's the opposite and I need to fix a situation for myself, there are all these things where I know rationally I should do, but maybe not doing.
Have you ever not asked for advice when you knew you could? And you're...
Yeah, that too.
Dude, that's happened at work before where, and it's not ego. I'll be like, probably not going to, I'm going to give this a try. And you'd be like, why am I giving it a try? This is not a fucking playground where you're giving hopscotch a try. Right. It's your
I literally
job.
have this friend or coworker who's great at this.
Yes.
Well, you know,
they're right fucking there. And you'll be like,
they're
I'm
right
gonna give this a try. And you're like, why are you
They would love to help me out.
Dude, humans are weird, man. I love studying that because I'll do it. I always look at my past stuff and be like, what the fuck? Like, why? Like, why?
Yeah.
Why did I do that when everything else is optimized? It's probably the thing from youth, you know, where maybe it paid off in a big way one time and your brain.
Yeah, it's like an adaptation you developed maybe.
Yep, and the weight, it's almost like a LLM where the weight for that single success is still above all the warnings that are like, Jeremy, no. But that one success you had in 8th grade, you're like.
Definitely,
Dude, that's all, that is probably exactly what happens on a neurochemical level. But
man,
it doesn't matter because tomorrow I'm going to do it. I just maybe explained it to myself why it happens. And I bet you tomorrow I'll do something like that and be like, dude, what am I doing? Yeah, it's embarrassing. What else do we got?
This one from Sully. He says, what's one of your best gaming memories? This is on my mind lately because I have twin 14-year-olds now. Congratulations. For me, it is the memories of going to the family video store and looking for the newest PS2 release based off the Game Informer mags, or sometimes just complete randomness in the pick. Yeah, those are good ones. But yeah, the magazines were great, dude. You get them, you know, with the CD.
Yep.
It would have like a demo that you couldn't get anywhere else. And like, you know, the articles, the pictures.
And you would read well, at least I would. I'd get Next Generation magazine and I would just read the articles and then reread them. And the Next Generation had a tendency to do technical stuff. They'll be like, here's why the Dreamcast can do this. And I'll be like, I loved that shit. Yeah. And they were 3 months behind, by the way. Like, because print time, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
It didn't, because you didn't have the
because
internet.
the feeling was one of, this is completely new. Because the information wasn't as widely available as it now is.
Yep.
Where, you know, the day it's out, you learn about it, whether it's through chat or what, you know, whatever it is.
I loved that.
Back then, it's, you know, that was your one window into the
I will say with gaming memories, though, I don't know about you, I truly believe I'm making them all the time. I came to that conclusion a couple of years ago. I have made a shit ton just this year that feel as vital as like someone when I went and stayed at a friend's house. That's nostalgia, which is great.
Yeah.
But if I look at the fun that I've had even in the last like 6 months in Discord or streaming with people or watching the guys do the FMV game, that will go down in my life, at least for a while, as one of the best experiences I've ever had playing a game. Dispatch, watching people play Dispatch many times because they were just sitting there going, this is amazing. But they keep happening. I'm not a big fan of nostalgia in that way, because I do think that you get caught up going, the old times were better. They solidly weren't. They weren't. I mean, whatever example you may have of nostalgia of like the old times being better, sorry. They just weren't, man. It's just, we lived through them. I have examples of it not being better. It was just not better. I mean,
I think the only ththing about them is that they might have been formative for you. You know, maybe it's like it was your first console.
Yeah.
So you were just understanding how this industry is exciting for you. You want to be a part of it going forward.
Yeah.
Like the first game you played or the first blah, blah, blah. I definitely see the value there. Or maybe like, hey, I grew up in the arcades. And to me, the dopamine of going to those machines is something that was unique. I get those.
But
I do think, we're building those. Yeah, as you say.
Those are nostalgia. They're not a specific example. Like if somebody says there was a very particular time I did a championship with other guys at the arcade, there were 8 of us and I won. That's a memory. Does that make sense? But if you say arcades as a whole and going to play it, that's nostalgia. That's all these memories together collapsed into a category. And that, so I agree with you. The first console you get, but I'm going to tell you straight up, I can't remember the first game I played ever. I have no clue what the first game I played is.
Yeah.
The first memories aren't even real memories, Johnny. They're time zones that I know had to be first. So when I go, well, it was for sure ColecoVision because that came before the Dreamcast. But that isn't the first memory of a game because I have no clue what the first memory of a game is.
Yeah. And we can't trust our memories.
And you can't,
by the way.
dude. You revisit them, you change them, you alter them. Your attitude now. Maybe John was a dick, and now suddenly that memory's bad, and you're just like, oh, so it changes the actual experience. Yeah. Those were good times though. Buying something. That's why I still buy games.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
I remember the feeling of me owning something.
The buy-in.
The buy-in committal is a big deal.
That's great.
It's huge to me. There's something
I still have it today.
Buying.
When I buy a game that's pricey, I still go through the motions of like, is it really something I want to invest into? And I'm also reserving time to play it and treat it with some ceremony.
Yeah, and maybe that's what we've lost because of, I'm not dissing on these guys, but like a Steam sale or whatever, where you're getting things at such a reduced cost that, because I still buy Game Pass games if I like it. And there's something about it where I'm like, okay, I've invested. It's worth that money. It's worth that time. Free to play games I'll put money into because I feel like it's worth. There's something there that I like. I get it though. I think anybody who's 30 or younger has less of a return on that because of mobile games, and then 20 or younger doesn't even know how the world existed prior to some of these things being offered. So when you do talk to them, there'll be an entirely different motive for them, or at least there's a lot of people that will have an entirely different motive because their entertainment came easier. My entertainment was saving for 3 months to get a single game. That was a big deal. Because they were, by the way, anybody who tries to tell you they weren't $59.99, not only do I have cutouts from Payless and fucking Fred Meyer where they were $59.99, but I had to save up for many of those sons of bitches. Or Virtual Racing, which was $110 in like 93. Because it came with the chip, admittedly. But the saving up for 3 months was almost as fun or dopamine, whatever. I think that's sort of a bad way of describing things because it becomes all scientific. But it really is science. And then you buy that game and you're like, the culmination, I got it home, And that feeling of it. I still have it because I still have to save. I still have to allot cash to games. I don't do Steam sales because maybe this is why I'm a bad gift getter, because if I want the game, I already have it. or I know I can buy it at some point, so I don't need to buy a combination. Somebody was telling me about Humble Bundle. They're like, yeah, I got 10 codes. Here's one code. I got this game for 30 cents. And I played it for 10 minutes. And I'm like, dude, sorry, but I feel like it's easy to make that go wrong. You and I've talked about Kindle before. I do think the same thing can happen with Kindle Unlimited. Or, or I know people who do PDF pirate sites. They'll go to like websites where the PDFs are uploaded and you can read them on the webpage. And they've even told me, they're like, I don't think I like comics anymore. And I'm like, are you sure you don't like comics anymore? Or are you getting whatever you want instantly from going to these places?
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, that person just came back recently and they were like, yeah, I went to a place that didn't have the greatest internet and actually found out that I do still like comics. I was getting them too easy. And I was like,
dude, definitely.
Makes sense for sure. What else we got?
Yeah.
Manuals are great too. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
They're talking about game manuals.
Dude, yeah, manuals.
I still love game guides, even if they're PDFs. I'll print them out. It sounds stupid, but I love I own a couple game guides for games I don't even own the game. I liked Game Facts was that shit was great, man. Anyway, sorry. What do we got?
This one from I am John Galt. What would you rate this past year? A buy, wait for sale, or never touch?
Oh, the entire year. Does he mean in games? Or does he mean like personal life?
I would assume so.
Let's just we'll call it the industry then, right? We'll say gaming. So we won't say personal life.
Gaming in general.
Yeah. So if you're banging that hottie, it's not going to count, right?
Does it count?
Okay. Shoot. Man, if you say the entire industry, I would say it's wait for a deep, deep sale. Because we have
because of all the layoffs
AI,
and stuff.
The layoffs, the back and forth cancel of people. That's sometimes just you're like, what is going on? Why? Well, that's more.
Yeah, the industry is tough, right? Is a really tough place right now.
Price is going up if we're talking about hardware as well.
In terms of like games we got, I would say it's a buy. I feel pretty good.
Let's talk about the industry as a whole, because he is asking.
Yeah.
If you add everything, what would you give it? Everything, RAM prices. Great games, the return of some games coming out, even just the announcements, because those are all still happening this year. Tomb Raider's coming back, blah, blah, blah. What would you give this year the industry?
Yeah. The industry is in rough shape.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Everywhere you look.
Yeah, it is.
So. Yeah, that's a sale. If you look at the industry itself, it's probably not great for most people.
It feels like if you take everything into account, that it can be pretty dire. Even the metering out of like console sales no longer exploding, and then so now people want PCs, but now RAM's gone more expensive. It's like the worst timing in history for switching environments. In the old days, switching an environment was your $399 to get the new console, or you could get a PC and be guaranteed, or at least somewhat promised, that prices weren't going to go. You were going to sort of track it. Do you think it's sort of weird though that for the longest time, Johnny, video cards? By the way, I'm not saying we haven't bitched or people in chat haven't bitched, but that video cards consistently were rising for no reason. Then the RAM now is the reason. So when you look back at, like, you'd get your 1080, then you got your 20, then you got your 3040, and by the way, AMD as well. There was no Intel, so there was no, and we just started getting these huge, there was always the best card, and it was good enough that you wanted it. You'd look at the next down card, and you'd be like, well, fuck. It's got like 12 gigs of RAM, or I think my 2080 has 11, and I think my 3080 maybe has 12. And so you're like, oh, man, that might not be right, or might not be prepared, but they were really only doing that just to grift you for the highest card. And just when we have pretty powerful cards and you've got good memory on most, turns around and RAM is now going to truly raise the price outside of the companies themselves. It's just,
God damn it.
Yeah. Intel's still got some good cards. If they could get their drivers, their mid-level cards, not bad. Not bad for price.
Yeah.
They want you to subscribe to a PC. Yeah, I thought that was funny. I remember seeing that, and people were deballing it right away because that is just a crazy thing to say. Somebody wants you to, they definitely don't want you to rent like a PC, especially because they're paying power. One of the things that was funny is somebody was like, oh, if you rent a PC, you'll pay more to the company at a particular time, but they're not taking into account power, rental space, and all this stuff. The amount of money that you would have to pay in for you to like, for them to come across as like, oh, we've got, let's say 2 generations of card upgrades, $3,000, $4,000. It's not true. It's a weird
I think
thing.
Asus had a rent a PC program, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm talking about even streaming. Yeah. Like, it's just, I just don't think people understand that the cost of electricity for the company has also gone up. Like, because it's gone up for us, it goes up for everybody across the board. There's all these issues. Yeah. They're not the same cards, by the way. They're server level cards. You know, sometimes they're on a full system chip. There's 1,000 things wrong with that thought process. And it also takes into account that all these companies already had cards taped out and ready for the next update. It has nothing to do with that. It truly has to do with RAM and the idea that we live in a monopoly of RAM. We got stuck, and we just so happen to need RAM for the one thing that is an industry growth, which is AI, not games. Games have been replaced. Games are gone. Like, games are mediocre compared to AI. AI's growth is, I think the growth index for AI is like 150,000% or something. It's ridiculous. And that won't happen forever. It'll do exactly what .com did, where it goes up. People say the bubble burst, didn't burst at all. The hype burst, but the bubble just goes down. And then it'll go back up when something useful is created out of it. When something, you know, I think with AI, we're seeing useful stuff for personal use. But I'm talking about a true medical, what have you. You know, you get something like that where it's truly useful. But yeah, no,
I saw
the rental thing is weird.
Those rumors that GPU production is going to go down 30-40% next year for NVIDIA.
And that rumor never got even acknowledged by any of the companies. I mean, I would assume it probably would go down because also we haven't exploded in video card purchases. So why make a bunch of video cards when many sit on your, what do you call it? In your storage, in whatever. Instead, cut them down. And then if you have to build more, you have to build more. We've consistently had a tendency to build up a bunch and then sort of have shit sitting on the shelves. This is the first time Nintendo did that. Look how well Nintendo did, at least for a while with the Switch 2. They had their shit ready to go day one.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, we live in a weird world, man, where like, I think people see the problems, they admit the problems, and then they'll turn around and assume there's a giant conspiracy when the problems are right there and you can actually see how they developed over 5 years. I mean, maybe it's because people don't track AI, but it's like 5 years ago talking to Reg, we were like, dude, this is a problem. Like, what was it? 4 years ago, we were talking about RAM and fabs, because that's what I used to do, is you set up fabs, you look at it and you're like, dude, there's only a couple places making RAM and every single thing in the world is increasing RAM. How is that going to work out if any other, and I didn't see AI coming in the way it came. I saw the requirement for RAM. Certainly not this bad. Did you see that Asus is coming in? Looks like Asus is going to try to get a fab up and running for RAM.
Where? Which country?
I didn't see where, actually. That's a good question. Yeah, I didn't see where.
Interesting.
Asus has stuff in a couple places, plus they have fabs that make their stuff. But this sounded like a whole other new thing. Like they're going
new operation.
Yeah, like where Corsair has stepped back, they might step in and try to get the RAM prices, you know, down a little bit, because RAM prices are up high, but they're going to hit this is Rory talks about this. Rory Sutherland talks about the prices of things, and they get too high and people think the companies want to grift you to the point of forever. But they absolutely do not, because what they want to do is get you to where it's expensive. They make a ton. They don't care what you make, but you make a ton, but you can still purchase the next upgrade at some point. So when you get RAM going astronomical, what happens is people just step back and decide not to get it at all. They're like, we're going to shift. And a company doesn't want you to shift. They actually want. So that's why you're starting to see some of these companies who are like not raising their prices quickly, trying to sort of see where all this is going to go. Markets are hard, man. I mean, Sutherland's probably one of the best at describing markets because he understands psychology versus just looking at raw numbers for like a certain quarter and saying everything is going to match to these numbers. And it's like, that's fairly rare that actually happens. Usually things change in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or a year down the road. More people need to watch Sutherland, man. Like,
yeah. I mean, the guy is crazy smart.
That guy's a wonderkin. Yeah. If there's anybody out there, if you want to understand what goes on in markets, that's the guy. Like, there's a reason why he exploded as a 50-year-old on TikTok.
He's got a couple of nice books too. I read his Alchemy. Yeah, it's a great book. Really explains a lot about brands, marketing, how all of that stuff works, and some of the breakthroughs. A lot of the stuff that is not intuitive, where like people found success by
his understanding
trying stuff out that
human brain
didn't make
is
it's crazy.
I also love how he says that in marketing or psychology, you always lose to the person with numbers, even if your numbers on that one success might be 10,000 times. You know, it may explode something. And how you always you'll always lose in a meeting if you're talking numbers and you have somebody who's talking the psychology of something and the improvement of something that psychologically makes. And it's funny because he always gives the example of Apple. He's like, Apple hit both for many decades, high cost and an almost cult-like fascination with their devices. And he's like, I have an example, Apple, right now. I have an example, the biggest example in the world, Apple. And people still won't believe him. And he's like, Apple, no, you don't understand. Like, it's the best. If you're a financial person, you're trying to argue this, look at Apple. It's like, it is possible. Not that every change will have an Apple-like success. But, dude, look at what Steve Jobs did. 90% of what Steve Jobs did has nothing to do with hardware. It had to do with psychology of people. He understood the psychology of people. He understood wonder. Look back at the old commercials where you see the Macintosh and shit, and you're like, what the fuck is this? But back then, it resonated with people. It got people out of the geekdom of an Apple IIe, you know, hammering away on a monochrome screen. And, like, it worked. It worked to the point to where now we're buying their shit, and it sucks balls. It's a locked ecosystem. It's all of these problems, and people still are cultish about Apple. Have you ever been cultish about Apple? I've never been cultish about Apple at all.
Never been an Apple person.
Yeah, if you guys get a chance, his name's Rory Sutherland. He is 40, I think he said he was 48 or something. But anyways, 45 to 55-year-old portly Welsh man who worked at Ogilvy, the marketing company, but he does the psychology of marketing. And there is a reason why TikTok, which is average age is like 19, he exploded on TikTok because he spoke a language they can understand, which is the psychology of sort of what we identify as being important versus what we spend. And it is a dramatically different thing. And how social signals, certain things said, can magically. Like, did you see the one he was talking about, the American Express card, Member Sense? It has made them, the American Express card, Member Sense, so less than 15 letters, has probably made them $7 to $11 billion because a person sees Member Sense, and if they lose their card, they want that card to still say the old Member Sense date. Member Sense means I've been a member since the old days. This matters. Like, it's not just a card. It's you are a part of the team. It's an identity since this date. Yeah. And he thinks the company got probably $20,000 to $50,000 for the entire ad campaign. And and American Express themselves are stating that is a $1 billion, more than $1 billion, like, continual people coming back because Member Sense is such a, like, it's like Discord roles. If we change the roll colors, I always get shit, man. I'll change the roll
people
colors.
People are married to the role.
People will be like, but I've been a member since this long. And one day I thought, I'm going to put Member Sense. I'm just going to put everybody in one because we're all a team. And man, boy, speaking about making a mistake you thought was going to be a good idea, I was just like, well, we're all team, and people were. And they would never be like, Carrick, I hate you, but you'll see it in the comments. Somebody would be like, why is this guy? And I'm like, dude, it's just a color. That's how much a single color can matter. A color.
Yeah.
That is insane. And that's monetarily for me. That's a real thing I'm seeing. Like, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's a great example of revealed preferences.
Yeah.
Where it's on paper, shouldn't matter. You wouldn't think it matters that much. A color, a role.
Right.
But actually,
the pattern.
Yeah,
matters.
We saw it in practice. It does matter to people. And maybe they wouldn't say, if you ask them, they would say, no, I don't care. But you see in practice that they do. So it's the difference. Like sometimes we even fool ourselves with these things.
Absolutely.
We think we care about a certain thing, but actually what we care about is another dimension.
And I think we see it in gaming. You look at, like, let's say Game Pass. When you look at Game Pass, you're like, okay, that makes total sense. That's going to explode. And then ownership became a thing. And you can't say ownership became a thing just in games. I think everything in the world was hitting at the same time. It's hard to own a house. It's hard to own a car. Now, wait, we can't own games? That is, to me, intrinsically connected to the identity of the last 10 to 15 years where it's harder to own things. And it starts to become a thing. It used to be, okay, rent to own, renting went away. So everything was buying. So the idea of a company coming forward with rental, people are like, what? I don't know. That doesn't feel like, and then you add digital on top of that, where now you don't even have a physical thing. You've got a digital thing, which doesn't feel, it doesn't feel as tangible. And people will say the same thing. They'll be like, I don't care about physical. And be like, okay. Have you ever bought a physical game? Yeah, I buy them all the time. And be like, well, then why do you care? Well, because I want to put the game in, but the game requires a patch. You can't even play it. Yeah, but at least I have the disc. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't matter, but by the time you've got down to that fourth reason, you've probably filtered out 80% of buyers. I think that's important personally, but I can't say that I don't have friends who would filter out by the time I got all the way down to like that one single reason. I would have filtered out like 80% of my friends. At some point they would have dropped out and been like, now it doesn't matter. So yeah, it's weird, man. It's definitely weird. But yeah, Rory, you need to check him out. What else do we got?
Let me check here if I missed something in our questions. Zaxby says, will we get a Fable release this year? Will Xbox cancel State of Decay 3 or finally reveal it? Have a beans-tastic day. Love you guys.
State of Decay 3 is not canceled for sure.
That's
Fable,
good. Okay.
I feel like Fable, not only do I not care, even
it's
though
a
I love
Fable
it's
in
a
and
Fable.
of itself.
Yeah. Even the footage we saw, which, they would say, this is what you and I talked about with the Cyberpunk the Perfect Dark. You start to look at it, and you're like, wait a minute, this is really on rails, which, depending on your
smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, depending on your familiarity with that stuff, you were able to either pick it up or not pick it up quickly. Listen, I want a Fable. I love Fable 1. And 2 was okay, and then you got to 3, but I don't know. Or Fable, what did we get? 1, 2? Did we get 3? Yeah, this will be Fable 4, right? We got 1, then you had one with twins.
I think this is
you had
3,
one with the dog.
Am I wrong?
Didn't you have Fable, then Fable with the dog, then Fable with the twins? Isn't that Fable? I don't even remember. Anyway.
You might be right, yeah.
Yeah, I hold no real stance on nostalgia of Fable. So, I don't, it feels to me like
like that attitude, Well, if it comes, will be great.
Yeah.
But don't need to.
I mean, what does Fable mean to you? Let me ask you this. It's been so long.
Yeah.
What the fuck does Fable mean?
I don't even remember it much. I played some of it, and I remember some cool moments.
Yeah. And many games have taken parts of it, whether it be humor, whether it be actions, whether it be gestures, whether it be the magic systems. What does it even mean? That's the thing, is it means it's a word that they just added to a game, and nobody who's working on it worked on the originals. Which, by the way, I'm not saying it can't be a good game. I'm just saying, what does it mean to anybody? It means nothing.
Yeah, at this point, we all have our own projections that we're injecting there. It is Fable 4, looks like.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought. Was it Fable? Because I remember the Twins one.
There were 3 Fable.
The dog one, I love myself, a game with a dog. So, like, got a soft spot in my heart. And then Fable 1. I'm going to be honest, though, Johnny. I lived through those. I would say Fable 1 was the only, like...
standout?
Yeah. And then the others were good or bad, but they didn't achieve Fable 1. Because Fable 1 was new. And there was some cool ideas. And it was a British humor or European humor style versus Western, United States style. So that was different for people. It was more like Monty Python kind of stuff than it was what I grew up with. So that was cool. Alien is cool, right? The being able to see the humor, and they did a good job with humor in that game, which is rare when you think about it. Humor in games is tough, man.
It's tough.
Game Fable 4, same release date as Half-Life 3. Speaking of that, did you see, I saw the rumor about this. I don't know about you, Johnny. I find this so funny. Half-Life 3 will be like a day and date release with the Steam, whatever it's called, Steam box, Steam machine.
Yeah.
Dude, I find that so funny because the Steam machine in particular is a very weak machine. And Half-Life 1 and 2, especially 2, pushed a lot. So the idea that Half-Life 3 would be, and you don't require the Steam machine to play it. So it's such a weird thing. In fact, I would reverse it. And I would say the Steam machine is like connected to Half-Life more than Half-Life is connected to the Steam machine. It doesn't, Half-Life may sell some Steam machines because people want to play Half-Life, but Half-Life is in and of itself completely separate. It's not like, it's such a weird thing to say, to be like, oh yeah, it's going to be really, it's like, who gives a shit? And
the thought that you would buy a Steam machine to play
$760 to play one game. It's going to be more than that.
Oh.
But yeah, isn't that a weird, I don't know. I was listening to it going,
super weird.
These are PCs. It's not a console. If it was like connected in, that would be an issue.
I think that's literally only for Valve fans.
Yeah.
People who like, they like their hardware, they like the ecosystem, they just want to be bought.
The OS that they like. Eternal says, Astrobot does humor really well, but mostly through gestures, cute characters, and silly circumstances. Yeah, Astrobot did well. What other games do humor well? Fable. Astrobot. Dude, I thought Dispatch had some laugh out loud parts. I thought Dispatch had some actually enjoyable shit. Fable 4, Fable 4. Chicken Chaser. Molyneux promised a lot in the first Fable. Oh, that's before your time. Peter Molyneux. He loved to promise some shit. Can Johnny shut the fuck up when somebody asks Carrick a question? It's not Carrick a question, dummy. It's both of us a question. And in fact, I interrupt more than Johnny. So, no, shut up, stupid. I'm just joking. Calm down, though.
Sorry, eye of the tiger. My bad.
No, it's not your bad. It's a fucking podcast. Dude, no matter what, somebody always bitches, though. If I don't say much and you say a bunch in a podcast, well, this is actually less so me and you, but when we had more people, like when we had 4 or 5, or when I do a podcast interview, there'll be people who are like, I came here to hear Carrick talk about stuff. And I'll be like, but I invited this person on. I had somebody bitching about the Elijah Chuck interview. And I was like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, it's his to talk about. And then other times I've had people be like, oh man, it's a back and forth. It's so amazing. And somebody be like, I wish Carrick could shut up and just not talk at all during the entire interview. And I'm like, that's not a fucking interview. That's a speech. Like, what the?
Yeah.
Can't please everybody. Well, I do. Women, at least. Oregon Fresh. I hit about 10% of what he promised. Who did? Oh, no, that's a lie.
Molyneux?
Yeah, the lies about Molyneux are weird because so I've done huge investigations on this and tracked every single thing he promised and what he didn't. He didn't hit like 3. But people will always remember him if we're talking about Fable as problematic. Molyneux's real problematic stuff was his mobile game and the contest game he did. Once you remove that and look at Fable, nah. Milo, you could say it, but Milo was a real thing. It just wasn't anywhere near ready. Isn't it crazy too, Johnny? Milo is not even a billionth as advanced as what we have now with even cheap, low-level, at-home AI. Milo was like a kid who talked to you and was all stilted and shit, and now you've got like LLMs that are like perfect. You know, like you could talk to him back and forth, and you're just like, damn,
it's crazy.
He was ahead of his time on the, at least on that particular idea. What else do we got for questions?
Let's see. Let's speed run through some of these. Rick Flair Andy says, "Merry Christmas, guys. Still lurking, even if Merry Christmas." He says, "Still lurking, even if I'm not active in the chat anymore. After watching Five Nights at Freddy's 2, I was wondering, when it comes to video game to movie adaptations, what do you actually prefer? Do you want them to play it beat for beat, like Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, the GOAT? Or do you prefer when they take the game's world and characters and try to do something new with it, even though that usually ends in disaster?"
So for movies, he says?
Yep. Game to movie adaptations.
Man, it's so tough, right? Because, 60 hours of a game turning into a 2.5-hour movie. Like, you're going to lose some shit. I think if it's a movie, it should be beat for beat. I think if it is a TV show, it actually works better like Fallout, where they're like, here's the world, go forth. Even though if you'd asked me 5 years ago or whenever Fallout came out, prior to Fallout, I would have had many more worries. I was very worried for Fallout, dude, because I was like, how do you even do Fallout? And obviously the people who are experts showed me, you're not an expert on those, Carrick. So sorry, like it's on you, buddy. I would say TV shows, I like the exploration of the world, but in movies, that's tough too, though. Man, how do you do a movie of like Death Stranding? That'd be horrible.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think a 1-to-1 is very challenging.
Yeah. Do you have I'm going to grab a pop. Do you have do you have a game that you how about this? Is there a game out there that it doesn't have to be your favorite, but a game out there that you think would make a good movie if it was beat for beat or close to beat for beat? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
As a question? Okay.
I think that's really interesting. Maybe Red Dead Redemption 2 could be condensed into a movie, despite being a very long game, because like we were talking about, you have the very clear through line of Arthur's situation, and maybe that could be, broken down to simpler elements and kind of create something very close to the source material around it, where you still have the same story beats, but just short. It's tough, man.
Jeff Bossman 5268 $10 super chat. Hope you guys had a great Christmas. Thank you very much. It's
Boss
better now.
Man.
It's better now because the Boss Man's here. Thank you very much for the super chat. With Arthur, I think if you started when he was sick, maybe Open Range, the movie with Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner's character, for a moment, you think he might have TB because he's coughing up blood a lot of the time. And I think they did a good arc, though it ends happily, versus Red Dead 2. So, yeah, Red Dead 2 would be crazy. I mean, games to movies, Dispatch. I would watch a Dispatch movie. I mean, they wouldn't have him dispatching very much, but the back and forth, the fights, the story arc, it's not the greatest story arc, but I could see something like that. Wolf Among Us. I'm sort of cheating because I'm taking Telltale, which are already in a movie/TV format. So I'm going to stop that.
Almost there.
I'm going to stop that. Oh, yes. Straight up, I think I have the best answer. Call of Duty games. I think the campaigns in a couple of the Call of Duty campaigns are as good as The Rock, which is one of my favorite movies of all time for military shooting.
Great movie. Yeah.
Yes. Dude, there's some 90s, really good Call of Duty.
Classic.
Yes, exactly. I think you could take some of the campaigns, some of the best campaigns for Call of Duty, and just Tom Clancy's fucking, Call of Duty, blah, 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 and be like, that is a good movie. I absolutely think you could do that with some of those. That would be fun to see. That would be really enjoyable to see. Mafia 2? Oh, yeah, Mafia might be good too. I hadn't even thought about that. Mafia would be.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
Yeah, that would be, just as long as we don't say Assassin's Creed, because like those games are 80 hours long. And, you know, how do you condense? We saw they attempted it, and
so much of the game is the gameplay itself, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's do Call of Duty Black Ops 7 campaign as a movie. Shit, I'd watch the hell out of that because it's sci-fi. What I wouldn't want to do is Modern Warfare 3's, whatever that one was, where the campaign was like 3 hours. What was that? Was that Modern Warfare 3?
Yeah, 4 maybe. Yeah, I'm kind of lost on them.
Yeah, I mean, you could pause in the main menu and have it be the normal length of a game, but the Kingsglaive Final Fantasy 15 movie was all right. You know,
I never saw that, actually.
Why do animes get a pass on this? Because I feel like some anime movies work out still, even though they shouldn't. There's something about live action versus anime where the anime can be a movie, and you'll be like, that works. But if it was a movie, you'd be like, Taylor Sheridan making a Call of Duty? Geez, that'd be a dire Call of Duty. I mean, Call of Duties are pretty dire. So Taylor Sheridan could take it on. That guy... Dude, I swear to God, from 6 miles away, you can tell it's one of his shows.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, dude, it's like Mayor of Kingstown. The moment the music starts, you're like, oh, okay.
Oh, I didn't know him specifically.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That vibe is.
The vibe is like him.
Yeah.
There's something about his vibe where, like, even the film, I don't know, his stock almost that he chooses. I'm like, yep, that's him.
So Landsman is also
yes, it is
by him,
and that's why I think Landsman has some issues. Though I love it, I think Landsman, I'm always watching for the other shoe to drop, and it doesn't. Now that could also be because I watch Goliath, and Billy Bob ruined everything all the time. But I'm always expecting the shoe to drop in Goliath.
Sure.
I don't want to spoil this last season, but some characters introduced, and I'm like, here we go. And instead of like, oh my God, I've got an ultimate secret, like you might see in Goliath or something, it's more just like, yeah, people can sometimes suck. And I've really enjoyed it, but it took me probably 2 seasons to really understand that Landman wasn't going to pull the rug out from under me, which Goliath does, Yellowstone does, his other shit does all the time. Mayor Kingstown does a lot. Just finished for Ferrerin.
Freerun, yeah,
it's
an anime.
Anime on Netflix, and it's super good. If anyone needs a fantasy-based anime, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it's really good adventure anime.
I'm the one person on earth who likes Final Fantasy Spirits Within. No, I liked it. Dude, it's one of the only Final Fantasy I don't love a ton of. I actually like that cartoon, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that one wasn't much Final Fantasy at all. It was more
probably why I liked it, Johnny.
Here's a cool sci-fi.
And I think Alec Baldwin did a voice in it. Like there were some people I knew, so it was a little easier to track. It didn't feel so, foreign. It was like when you get a couple actors I can resonate with, I think I'm good. Did you see Demon Hunters, whatever it is, the super popular Korean cartoon? Demon Hunters, the anime. Is that a movie or a
Demon Slayer, maybe?
Is it Demon Slayer? It's the girls. Singers, and it's like demon something.
Super popular. I haven't seen that.
Is it Demon Slayers? No. Am I or Demon Killers?
No, that one is damn it.
I see commercials for it.
Might be Demon.
Is it Demon
Yeah,
Hunters?
I know the one with the songs, with the popular songs.
Yeah.
The K-pop.
Yeah. Hey, I'm all for K-pop.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
I just grabbed one of my mixes. It fucking opens with Fleetwood Mac. It goes to Rob Zombie. It goes to Unleash the Archers, and then it goes to a bunch of K-pop songs. And every time I turn it
Demon
on,
Hunter.
my wife is like, what the fuck makes you put together this? And I'm like, I have no clue, but it all makes sense in my brain.
Okay.
K-pop Demon Hunters.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to see that one. Landman is always a good time for me, even though it deals with some... So Landman, I do think it deals with some dark subjects, but Goliath makes Landman look like a comedy. Like if you watch Goliath and then you watch Landman, you're like, damn. Or Mayor of Kingstown is also like...
I feel like in Landsman, stuff is kind of working out. I mean, they have a bunch of tumbles. Don't get me wrong.
But they they don't fall into the trope of, I'm not going to tell this person the thing I could tell them that would fix everything in 3 seconds. Where all the other ones do.
I like that about him in that show.
In which
where
show?
He's
Landsman?
In Landsman, where Billy Bob, he just errs on the side of basically owning up to the situation and like cards on the table.
One of the best parts is the newest series. I'm not going to spoil when this happens. He's talking to what I would consider to be have you seen the new season? So I don't have to talk.
Not yet.
So I can talk in code. Okay. There's a character he's talking to that is not a great guy, but they still aren't the not a great guy and good guy getting along, which I sort of like. There's sort of a respect. I don't know. But he tells the guy straight up what somebody feels about him. And it's honest as fuck. And he's just like, she thinks I'm a loser because of this. And it's not his wife he's talking about, so I'm not spoiling anything. He's like, she thinks I'm a loser because of this and this and this and this. And the guy, who's a bad guy, sort of, states, well, you need to fix that because of this and this. And I remember leaving that conversation going, neither one of them were setting the other up, which I'm so accustomed to in shows where a bad guy pretends to help. He's the bad guy. Boom. You're the bad guy. Your help cannot be considered useful. This was useful help. And I remember just going like, what the fuck am I watching? Because that is really rare. The bad guy just basically is like, well, he's not even really a bad guy, but he is. He's got bad stuff, but he gives good advice. And then they're just like, okay, I'll talk to you later.
All right.
And I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, it's really well done in that way. I think
cool.
it's loosey-goosey in the handling of some situations. And I don't know why the daughter and the son hate each other so much, but I would throw that daughter down a well.
It's almost irrational.
Cement, then drop a nuke on it, and then burn the planet to cinders. I fucking hate her. I don't know what's going on, and they've never described it. And she comes on, and that boy comes up, and he's trying his hardest.
It's so irrational.
It's irrational beyond belief, and it's hatred. It's not just like they're jabbing each other. This guy's like working his ass off. He's protecting somebody. He's fucking raising somebody else's kid.
He's having a crack out there.
He's having a crack, and this daughter,
yeah,
who doesn't believe blowjobs and anal sex are sex, which, by the way, she is dumb as a box of rocks.
Yeah, that's
but
just
she keeps
dumb.
giving him shit. And I'm like, if I was that guy, I'd be like, I'm going to give you a reason to fucking hate me. I'm going to chase you down. I'm going to machete off your fucking arms. I fucking hate her. I hate when she comes on.
It is
like,
weird they never explain it.
They never
right?
explain it. No, dude.
Because that's just the status quo.
To somebody, Johnny, I would assume you fucking caught that person murdering
like
somebody.
You killed my dog.
This last season, some other stuff she says, and I'm like, and the parents are around. That's the other thing. I was talking to my wife about this. Is Billy Bob a good dad? I talk about this in video games too. Is this guy like the good guy? Is this guy truly? Billy Bob is a shitty dad, and so is his wife. Not because they fight. They don't fix that daughter. Because she is like, she says shit that if my dad,
they're basically letting her fly.
If I said some of the shit she says to her brother, to my own brother, fuck, dude. I don't know if I would get away from the dinner table. And I'm not talking about abuse. Calm down, Pete. Well, my mom would slap the shit out of me, I'm sure. My dad he didn't believe in that. Well, he did. He just couldn't do it. My dad spanked like a... That would be a spank. And my mom, we'd run away laughing, and my mom would be like, oh, you think you got away? Be like, fuck. Because she'd grab you, and she'd be like, let me show you why you shouldn't fuck. But anyway, yeah, dude, they're terrible parents. Yeah. They let that girl get away. Oh, I fucking hate her, man. But I guess
that's no instruction, no course correction.
None. And Billy, the stuff he does, like even him and his wife, I'm like, it makes sense. They're a little caustic, but they're like not actually that bad when you look at it in a lot of shows.
No, I mean, they're fairly honest with each other, which
loving.
is, again, refreshing.
Yeah, compared to what we've seen before. Games do that a lot of times too, where they try to rescue the bad guy. And I'm like, dude, don't rescue. You don't need to rescue the bad guy. He can be a piece of shit. Like, it's okay.
Let it sit. You know, you don't have to resolve every conflict.
Yeah. Oh, this isn't just not getting along. That's what I was saying. Is not getting along is one thing. It's when everybody's around you. Some parents should be like, dude, we're gonna teach you a thing or two. Leave her out in the fucking woods for a while. You know? I don't know, like a month, maybe 2, with no food. And then if she gets back, be like, you can say what you want. She wouldn't, though. She'd be eaten alive. I fucking hate her. What's the Who's the meanest? Let's wrap this up. Who's the worst? Who's the meanest, most heinous bad guy in a video game? He does real bad shit. He or she does real bad shit, and they POS. Who's the biggest POS in a video game that like sticks out to you? Like, I don't want a rescued bad guy. I don't need to coddle him. I'm talking about the shit heel that you would love to hold underwater. Like somebody that's just, I was going to say like I was going to cheat. It popped into my head to say like the Nazis from Wolfenstein, but that's not fair at all. So I'm going to rejigger that because they're just bad.
I mean, okay, let's get specific though. That lady, the blonde lady in Wolfenstein, is it Wolfenstein 2?
That's Wolfenstein.
The one. Do you remember the one where you had
That's who I'm thinking in my brain. I just couldn't remember.
Bad guy, which was this blonde lady. She had a daughter that was like a chubby person, and she kept bullying her daughter.
She kept bullying the fat girl. Dude, what
over
game?
and over, dude.
That was a Youngblood, was it? No,
that was Wolfenstein 2, I believe.
Was it Wolfenstein 2? Okay, yeah.
I think it's 2.
Of the fat girl. Yeah.
Dude, I mean, that was, to me, I felt like, just, I couldn't stand that.
Yeah, somebody's still in here arguing about the girl in fucking Landman. Leave it alone, dude. It's fine. It is just a show. But let's see. She was pretty bad, though. She's a pretty good
yeah.
I'm trying to think, because everybody tries to rejigger the bad guy to, like, be... Yeah. There's a reason.
Someone said Handsome Jack. I think that's a good one. He's kind of irredeemable.
Is he?
Yeah, he was just a jackass, and there wasn't any
handsome jackass
redeeming qualities, really.
Man, it's so rare that we've got a bad guy like this. Because I was gonna say the Gears of War Queen or whatever. Nah.
The Joker, maybe. The Batman Enemy Within.
Yeah. Joker, dude, but I think everybody, I don't know. Joker's a hard one because, depends on which fiction you're talking about with the Joker too, because sometimes he kills and sometimes he doesn't. Or he'll fuck around with some people, but he'll purposely, it's almost like Spider-Man where he leaves people alive for too long. And you're like, dude, what are you doing? Or would you please kill some people? The only reason we have Spider-Man 2 is because Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man was a giant sagging pussy. Spider-Man 1, if he had fucking locked those people up correctly or killed them, Spider-Man 2 wouldn't even have been possible to be a thing. But the dude just locks them all. He keeps
leaving these villains like...
And he puts them all in the same place.
Loosely guarded.
Yeah. In generically guarded jail. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah. Come on, man.
Bowser? Okay. Yeah. Bowser. Liquid Snake.
Oh.
Ooh, Liquid Snake.
Well, Bowser, what did he do? He kept kidnapping the princess, right? Or whatever.
Bestiality. I mean, that is pretty gross. Whoreson Jr. from The Witcher 3.
Oh, I was gonna bring this up.
No. Oh.
Do you...
go ahead.
Oh. No, you had something. No, give me it.
No, go ahead. It's wrong.
Do you think Abby from The Last of Us 2 is a bad guy? Bad girl sounds wrong. Is she a villain?
Is she a villain? Solidly. For sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Is everybody in Last of Us a villain?
Arguably,
yeah.
Yeah.
But she's a villain's villain. Yeah, she's a villain. I was going to say they don't do a good job. It's not like this would help, but in the show, the way it happens is it's pretty close, but it's slightly different. And Joel just sort of snaps and, blah, blah, blah. But he didn't like assassinate people. He didn't like come up behind their head. They were the ones who grabbed him. They took him by gunpoint. They were like, no, we're going to take her, because he starts to think differently. So you get this slight change, and then Abby comes along and is like, I'm going to murder him and beat him to death with a, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That is one step. Do I understand it? Yeah. Yeah, I understand it. I don't think she's a villain like what we're talking about. I mean, on the other
Not
hand,
like I want to see the world burn necessarily.
yeah, right. And you don't get to see her be a leader in the game or in the show, which really surprised me. Like, there's no reason to, in the show in particular, there's no reason to follow her whatsoever. They don't even give a reason. And in fact, every single person but her wants to go live a normal life. So she's like, I'm driven, I'm going to go do it. And then the guy in the show says, okay, I'm going to go with you and we'll figure it out. What he's saying is, I'm going to go with you and not only murder people, but shoot people in the legs. So it sort of stretches. In the game, it works. It didn't work as well as in the show, and it could have been a timing thing. In the game, it worked probably because you were interactive and you felt like you were murdering people. So when it happens and bad shit happens to you, you have this memory, this concrete memory of all the shit you've done, where the show didn't do the greatest job at that. But admittedly, a lot of people don't like the show. So especially season 2. Trying to think of who a bad guy is, though. See, I think it's hard, man. I think it's just, and I'm probably gonna stop the podcast, get up, and all of a sudden
instantly
come up with
think of, yeah. 5.
Bill says, Loghaim from Dragon Age Origins, you could redeem him by the end, but he's such a psycho, almost destroying all of Ferelden. Even the joining ritual was too good for him. Off with his head. Don't remember that particular character. It's been ages since I played Origins.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed. Trying to think of them. Okay. Yeah. I think I know Unredeemable Bad Guy. Not the greatest game in the world for this, but I would say Far Cry 5, The Seeds, all of them are fairly horrendous. Faith is poisoning and drugging people. Joseph Seed. Joseph Seed is the religious archetype bad guy, so it's sort of a cheap get out of jail free card. It's really easy with bad guys if you just say it's like some nebulous thing they believe in.
Yeah.
Because then you can just be like, well, I've seen that, and it writes a story. But the shit he does, he brings about the end of that location's world, technically.
Yeah.
So
and I like Voss. I think you didn't like that one as much.
I like Voss. I just don't understand. It's just that he repeats one-liners that don't even make sense in his particular situation, but because gamers hadn't heard them 1,000 million times prior in 1,000 million books and comics.
Yeah, he stood out in that sense.
In that sense, yeah. And so I could see if that was your first indication, you'd be like, oh my God. Dude, I had people legitimately trying to tell me Voss was the first one to talk about repeating the same action and thinking it's madness. And I'm like, what? There's like, what the fuck? Like, are we really attributing that to him? I'm like, what the shit is going on right now? That's like something from 100 years ago. So he just didn't feel as surprising to me. But he was better than 2 and 1's bosses or enemy characters because he was the first real one. So I could see why you'd like him because he gives you not only the landscape that you're fighting and the generic people like Far Cry 2, he gives you generic people, the landscape, and then a bad guy who's controlling everything, which is a nice goal to have. You know, we need to take him out.
Yeah.
So, Trevor was hilarious up until the torture scene. Yeah, the torture scene was rough, man. I know a lot of people who tapped out at the torture scene in GTA. I will admit, GTA, the stomp scene also, and that's only like 15 minutes into that. Well, maybe it's longer than 15 minutes. That shit happens.
Really sets the tone for Trevor.
As somebody who loves the DLC from 4 as well, and that guy just shows up and shit starts happening, and then he's talking to the brain matter on his foot, and I was like, oh, Micah Bell from Red Dead. Micah Bell is a really bad guy. Micah Bell, yeah,
definitely.
I hate that piece of shit. That's a good example, man. That's a good example. Hadn't thought about that. But yeah, the stomping scene in fucking GTA. Dude, GTA, they show shit that only because of the humor do they get away with it. If that was like not, people would have been talking about it like The Last of Us. And instead people are like, I'd love to hang out with Trevor. And you're like, would you? Would you really like to hang out with Trevor? He stomped somebody to death in the first like 7 minutes and then talks to Brain
Hey,
Matter.
outside of that, he's a cool guy.
You know, outside of that and the, you know, later on torture scenes and shit, he's a pretty good guy. It's so, but the comedy lets you buy into that he wouldn't be, you know, he may not be so bad. He may not be so bad. Anyway, that'll be, what fucking are we? What are we at here?
We're deep in this one. Like,
we're longer than Call of Duty's campaigns.
Yes,
up in here.
officially.
This is 3 hours and 45 minutes. What next year? What's your hope? 2026, biggest hope for gaming. Go. Can be a game release. Can be drop in price. Don't worry about being like the social signaler to say, I hope RAM
biggest
prices drop.
hope is that GTA actually delivers the almost impossible expectations.
Damn, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And that, so that it doesn't get delayed and that it delivers on expectations.
It's to the level of like GTA 5, you know?
I don't think I have one better than that, because I do think that
that is the big one for a lot. Yeah. For a lot of us.
Outside of that, I would say it would be really, it'll never happen. I don't even know why I'm going to say it. We don't live in a perfect world. I'd have to fucking mind control everybody to have this happen. So yeah, I would say GTA is probably
the big one.
Dude, it's going to be really weird. We'll probably, what would you say is the big game after GTA? Probably Witcher 4, Cyberpunk 2. I'm talking about, I don't care about them.
Yeah.
I mean, I do, but I don't.
Yeah, I think Witcher 4 is a really good, really good one.
Yeah, I'm super excited for GTA. I think when GTA, I love living post these games though, because it's been awesome, because I've known you for so long that now we're post almost every game. Like, it's weird when you think about it. Cyberpunk, Starfield, Witcher,
each of
Witcher
these
DLCs,
seemed like
Assassin's Creeds. Yeah. And
this big changing moment.
Silk Song now. Like, we're post all the stuff that we used to joke about when we started the podcast. It's so weird. And also some of the big games, I've known you long enough that some of the big games have been announced, even if they were delayed, have finally come out. So it's like, other than GTA 6, there really isn't anything, you know, and then you get into Witchers and stuff. Yeah.
Smaller scale, like Crimson Desert is going to be a big one.
Yeah. Crimson Desert, you know, we'll have to see, man.
Could be huge.
If I were them, I'd clean up the mechanics and I'd somehow get a demo out of like the best looking place with a cool boss and just, you know, try to capture that zeitgeist. I think that'd be cool. Anyway, Ace Combat 8. Yeah, Ace Combat looks sweet as hell. And boy, I can tell you, there's a lot of things I expected. I did not expect to see an Ace Combat be shown at the Game Awards. That was like,
wasn't on the
one was
bingo
coming, but I honestly, I completely forgot it was even going to be a thing. Yeah, Code Veronica is going to be a thing. I can't wait for that. The remake of Code Veronica for Resident Evil. Yeah, it's going to be some cool stuff. Anyway, that'll be it for us. If you guys want to jump in to continue conversations like this, you can leap into the Patreon. What are you going to stream tomorrow?
Probably some Hogwarts tomorrow. Some casual League of Legends with viewers.
All right.
Yeah.
So Hogwarts. Anyway, that'll be it for us. Like I said, if you want to check out the channel, go ahead, do the Patreon, or you can just give this a thumbs up when we get done. Also, could you please comment on the podcast now that we end it? That does help. Oh, personally, can't wait for Wolverine. That's true.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. And if you don't have a comment, leave us your favorite emoji. We'll see which one is the most popular. And don't do the eggplant, guys.
Dude, come on. That's all anybody's going to do. Or squirt, right? It's always
instantly the eggplant.
It's instantly the same thing. Emojis, man. God damn, I don't know. I sometimes feel like they're the worst example ever of humanity as an emoji. But, you know, probably not. Anyway, that'll be it for us. Peace out, everybody. Hope you enjoy the rest of your week.
Bye-bye.